It is exactly 100 years ago since the 4 in a row in football was first achieved, 1915 to 1918, by Wexford. In actual fact, this trophy wasn't the trophy back in those days. There is only one other county in this exclusive club, and that is Kerry. But by 5 o'clock this evening, Dublin will be hoping to have joined them.
From a player's point of view, it's the ultimate accolade.
You get over that line with a bunch of friends you had for life. It's a massive, massive achievement.
To win that medal, it just meant everything.
I think everyone knows it's everything to get the Celtic Cross.
They've done it! Tyrone are the All-Ireland champions! Fans crying tears of joy. Here he comes to win the All-Ireland. Cluxton, he's put it over the bar! Dublin have won the All-Ireland! Absolutely sensational performance by Tyrone. Goal! Another one for Dublin. Tyrone are the All-Ireland football champions for 2008, and Dublin are again the champions. The 3 in a row.
We have 3 All-Irelands in a row, and now they're looking for the 4th, so they're one step away from achieving that goal.
They're the ultimate team, ultimate fitness and ultimate skills.
To perform at a high level over and over, year on year, is just a testament to the team.
I think this Dublin team is going into the territory of being unrivalled.
There's only 3 teams that have done it in the history of the sport. Dublin are trying to emulate that.
Another brilliant opening goal for Dublin. Look at the speed, look at the stamina, look at the finish. That's a great contact ball is available. Back of the net. Dublin are through to the All-Ireland football final in 3 weeks' time.
They know that Tyrone stand in their opportunity to win in All-Ireland.
It's the one game you want to test yourself in, and it's the one game you're judged on. If anybody can do it, it's this Tyrone team.
Because Tyrone are going to come with that hunger. Dublin are going to have to face that hunger head on.
We hope with the right performance, Sam could be coming back north.
I think they're thinking of just the next one, the next match, and this is the next match.
Most Dub fans can avail of public transport to get to Croke Park. Indeed, even make that journey on foot. Their rivals have converged on the capital by whatever means necessary, but they're all here this afternoon for one specific reason: to see something special achieved by their county. It has taken 4 months and 66 championship matches to get us to this point. But now, can Dublin win their 28th senior title, or can Tyrone land just their 4th? The throw-in is at 3:30. Thank you for joining us here at Croke Park on this special day, and joining me here in studio, who else but Colin O'Rourke and Pat Spillane. And we are, of course, lads, missing one for the moment, your colleague. So this is your opportunity to talk, lads, for a couple of minutes.
Maybe somebody would kidnap him on the way up again.
Joe, of course, is down pitch side because the Derry team are the Jubilee team here today, so we'll be seeing him shortly. Looking forward to this match, Colin?
Absolutely. I haven't experienced an All-Ireland final with less hype, and I think the build-up has been quieter. I don't know whether it's because the fact that the championship has been poor in comparison with the hurling, which has really overshadowed everything, or maybe the fact that it's a lot earlier and there's not as many immigrants in, but there certainly isn't the build-up or atmosphere that you normally expect. Maybe it's the fact that people expect Dublin to win easily, so it's quite low-key. But for all of that, like All-Ireland Final Day is the centrepiece of Irish sporting tradition, a big part of what we are about as a people. And, you know, I hope that we get a contest that lives up to the day.
Well, this is it, because, I mean, the thing about it is, Pat Collum is right in everything he says about this, but today is a big day, and something significant will happen. Either the Dubs will do that 4 in a row, or Tyrone will win 4 All-Irelands in 15 years.
Yeah, well, I concur with all what Colm has to say. Certainly, in all my years, I can never remember less of a build-up to an All-Ireland final. Normally, an All-Ireland final ends in a huge crescendo, and we're sort of been stumbling and stuttering to the end of the line in this. And maybe it's because a lot of very predictable matches, a lot of very poor quality football. But at the end of the day, it's an All-Ireland final, and an All-Ireland final is a special occasion. Only 2 teams can reach it. Dublin going for something historic. They could be one of the greatest. They could be the greatest Gaelic football team of all time. And Tyrone, look, we know they've been building momentum through the qualifiers. We know at their helm they have Mickey Hart, one of the most astute managers that ever coached. So, look, I'm hoping for a contest. I'm hoping that Tyrone come into this game, not with the one-dimensional game plan, defensive game plan, that Tyrone come into the game and say, we're going to give it a lash. And think of the last 15 minutes up in Omagh, where they flooded bodies forward, they put pressure on Cluxton's kick-outs, and they took Dublin on. So, you know, you have to come off the field and say, I gave it my all, and I really tried to win the game. So, please God, we'll have a good contest. Please God, we'll be talking about a good match.
Well, I tell you what, today is the day to do it, isn't it? Now, in actual fact, we've already had the All-Ireland minor final here at Croke Park today. That was between Kerry and Galway. Kerry winning the title for a 5th successive year. That on a scoreline of 21 points to 1 goal and 14 points. And in actual fact, 2 Kilcummin men, Paul O'Shea and Keith O'Leary, lifting the Tom Markham Cup. But that's a special day, obviously, for your minors down there.
It is, and a very special achievement, because it's the first ever team in either football or hurling that have completed 5 All-Irelands in a row. The last time this team were defeated was in August 2013. So 4 minors followed by an under-17. And what makes this under-17 achievement even more remarkable is that normally with a minor team, you'll always have 6 or 7 from the previous year to build on. With an under-17 team, they had to start from scratch, started a new panel back in August and built again. So it's an amazing achievement. But can I say one thing about it? I mean, while the Senior Football Championship has been disappointing this year, no doubt about it, the Under-17 Championship has been absolutely brilliant. And 2 things about Kerry. One, they showed great spirit. Against Monaghan in the semi-final, a man down, pint down, came back to win it. Today, 7 pints down in the middle of the first half, being outplayed by Galway, and came back to win it. Great spirit, great determination. But I will say this, today's final that we just saw there, traditional Gaelic football at its best. Beautiful attacking play, beautiful kick passing, some wonderful points. So if Gaelic football is played in the right manner and coached in the right manner and played with the innocence that the youth brought today, it can be a great game to watch, Michael, and today was enjoyable.
You're starting to dream now, Pat.
Right.
All right. Tyrone's 3 All-Ireland title successes, as I said a moment ago, they've all come in the past 15 years. But the journey began a few years before that. 1998 was a particularly troubled year in the county, but a talented Tyrone minor team at least gave people the odd moment of respite.
You want to win the All-Ireland, the people on the outside, supporters maybe thinking, look, it's good to get on an All-Ireland final. If we get 3 or 4 lads out of this team, it'd be great. But as it turned out, you know, it was a freak team at that time. We got something like 10 or 11 boys that went on to win under-21s and senior medals at that time. And you know, I don't think it'll ever happen again that a team will come and carry that many through.
Myself, I went to school for Cormac for 6 or 7 years as well, and was unaware that he was speaking Irish. So when he got up and he started to speak the whole speech in Irish, it was, I suppose, surprising for me. But the GA and Irish culture was always very, very important to him, and he's seen this as, I suppose, as his role to do, nearly in a way, that he was captain. He had to, I suppose, make a statement where he could father the Irish language by standing up as an 18-year-old and making a speech in front of whatever it was, 70,000 people there that day.
It had all started out so well for the Tyrone minor team in their Ulster Championship match against Armagh. Star forward Paul McGurr slotted over a fine long-range point early on.
Tragedy sort of has followed a lot of Tyrone teams, and it's probably, I suppose, the death of Paul in '97 certainly probably motivated a lot of players from that stage onwards, and it developed into senior football. But certainly that was something that Mickey was very careful, I think, that year from talking to the players, not to talk about winning All-Ireland for Paul McGurr. It was important probably not to put that sort of pressure on people at 17, 18 years of age, but you got a sense that the players had been there the season before. There was more than a motivation of just winning for your county and winning the All-Ireland title. It was deeper than that.
We were preparing for an All-Ireland semi-final, I think it was, at that time, and I'd say we were no more than 15 miles from when the bomb actually happened.
From memory, I think we had a training session that morning, we had a team building day in St Kieran's Ballygolly School, and the news come and Mickey says, look, we need to cut things here, we need to head home, there's been a tragedy in Omagh.
We had to grow up very quickly, but Mickey was our leading light at that time. Mickey was our father-like figure, and you would near think that the man had so many devastations in his life that he just dealt with in such a manner that we felt at ease when, you know, we have to be grateful for Mickey carrying us through those bad times.
We had a All-Ireland semi-final against Leitrim shortly after. That was probably the best thing. We had football to focus on and to try and, I suppose, give everybody within Tyrone something to look forward to, and I suppose that can only be seen as a good thing, that we could help people away from, to get through personal tragedies and to help them look forward towards the future. Probably been something, a deeper bond probably between those players, probably from an early age. Obviously Paul McGuire's death with the 97 team and rolling through into the 98s.
I made so many friends off the field from it, and you know, I can look at those boys I played with in the 97, 98 minor teams and under 21 seniors after. You just have something special when you shake hands with them, or you look in the eye, you know that you went to the trenches with them. Behind it all, there was a lot of tragedies, but you know, you only have to look at Paul McGuire and Cormac McAnallen. We will grow old and we will die probably old men, but the one special thing about those two boys is that we will always remember them as young lads playing football, and they died young. We'll always remember them as that, whereas we'll maybe be remembered as old people just die.
Yeah, my good mate from the rallying world, Willie Dolan, of course, was the sponsor back in the day of that team. This journey for the last 20 years for Tyrone football, Colin, it has been truly remarkable, you'd have to say, whatever happens today.
Yes, whatever happens, and of course the Noughties team that won 3 All-Irelands had some of the greatest talents that we ever had, like Peter Canavan and Stephen O'Neill and Owen Mulligan and Sean Kavanagh and Brian McGuigan. Like, these were special players, but there's a common thread running through it, I suppose, was with Mickey Hart. And during that voyage over the last 20 years, it's been one of triumph and tragedy. And there's been a lot of dark days for a lot of people in Tyrone. And I think football has been a wonderful bolstering effect to hold them all together through very, very dark times. And they have repaid the sort of faith that the supporters have in them by coming to Croke Park on a regular basis and beating Kerry in All-Ireland finals and beating the best of teams. So if we all are a product of our environment, I suppose some of the harsh days of Tyrone have been reflected in a flowing football that they have brought to Croke Park, but there also reflects in a hardness of mentality, which means that they won't yield to anyone.
I suppose you have to have that, don't you?
Absolutely. Look, you know, I will always be labelled for that puke football remark I made about Tyrone back in 2003. It's a remark that I said once and once ever, and I probably regret it because I do regret it because it took from the achievements for a while of this Tyrone team. Because this Tyrone team, when Colm was listing out all those players, some of those players, the Peter Canavans, the Sean Kavanaghs, the Stephen O'Neills, Brian Dewars, they were some of the greatest players to ever play. Tyrone in 05 and 08 played some of the best football any county has ever done, down through the history. So they're brilliant footballers. They're an amazing county. They're an amazing, like, we come from a different environment down south. We don't realise the hardship they went through up north to keep the GA alive, to play GA,
and counties like Armagh, obviously, as well, and so on.
And we don't understand it. And to them, football is more than just a sport. It's an identity, it's a badge, which to us down in Kerry, we don't quite grasp at times. But you just have to admire the resilience. You just have to admire just the way they come back from disappointment, from some of the worst, losing Paul McGuire, losing Cormac McAnallen, and Mickey Hart at the helm. And like, you know, he divides opinions sometimes, but he's one of the greatest managers that have ever graced the game. So look, Tyrone, the only thing that's infuriating me about Tyrone is that they have brilliant footballers. This team have lovely, skillful footballers. And sometimes you say, let's play what you're capable of playing instead of being hamstrung to a defensive game plan that is not going to win.
Well, if you made a comment about the puke football, I certainly regret the comment I made about Brian Dewar, where I'd eat my hat if they won All-Ireland. He really shoved that one down my throat.
So we're taking back all the bad things we said about Tyrone.
I've noticed that. Fair enough.
I think until maybe 5 o'clock we could reconsider.
Now, lads, just a few minutes ago here at Croke Park, this year's Jubilee team outside for the moment. Marty Morrissey is on Jones's Road, so let's see who he has got with them.
Well, it's a beautiful day, temperature degrees about 24, and the excitement building up here on Jones's Road for this season's All-Ireland football final. I'm joined by two men that certainly brought the championship alive, Conor McManus of Monaghan, Damien Comer of Galway. I know it's probably a double-edged sword. In some ways, I'm sure you're delighted to be here, but heartbroken it's not your own county.
Yeah, Marty, yeah. Obviously, we'd love to be getting ready for action now at half-3. Disappointing week coming into the game, obviously, but look, you just have to move on and put it behind you. It's going to be a tough game. Conditions are going to make it just that wee bit tougher on players there.
It is warm.
It is quite warm, yeah, so it should be a good game.
What do you think, Damien, Dublin or Tyrone?
I woke up this morning and said if there was a bit of rain out there that I give Tyrone a slight chance, but I can't see anything beating Dublin. They're a phenomenal side, and I'd say Dublin will take it.
You know what they're like because you played against them, and I'm sure you're heartbroken as well that you're not playing here today.
Yeah, look, you can't really dwell on it. It's obviously disappointing, but I think Tyrone will give them enough of it for 50, 60 minutes of the game. But it's the last 10 where Dublin have that firepower to come on off the bench, and they kill teams off in that period. And Tyrone will be hurting from the semi-final last year, so if they can bring that hurt and turn it into positive going out there today, they'll run them close. But I can't see Dublin being beat.
What have Tyrone got to do to win this, though, Conor?
First thing I suppose, Marty, is they have to be in the game. You know, they have to keep it tight at the start. I think if you look back to the semi-final last year, after 20 minutes the game was over. So Tyrone's big thing is get a good start and make sure the game is thereabouts come 50-55 minutes and see where it goes from there.
Well, Damien Comer and Conor McManus, thank you both very much, and indeed to Galway and Monaghan for all their cooperation all year. The question is on Jones's Road, will it be Tyrone? Or will it be Dublin? Time will tell. Back to you.
It will, of course, Marty. You know what? There has been just the one previous meeting featuring Dublin and Tyrone in an All-Ireland final. That was in 1995. However, there have been some memorable clashes between them down through the years.
I don't know whether Tyrone went in there deliberately or not with eviction on their minds, but they're in there, and so are Dublin. And already there's a battle on between Dublin and Tyrone.
It's Charlie Redmond who scored. Did he in fact send it off a few minutes ago, and Charlie continued? This is very confusing. And here's first Peter Canavan. Touches it on the ground, and it's a free out. It's in Dublin are the All-Ireland champions for 1995.
Mulligan, they've got to work a score from this. Owen Mulligan, options to his left. Mulligan, what a goal! That is one of the great goals we've seen at Croke Park. Mulligan's back inside the three-man O'Neill. Mulligan, oh! What a response! I just look at the celebration from Mulligan. No emotion in front of goal 16.
And it's becoming an impossibility to referee. Oh, these are crazy scenes now at the start of the new National League.
Kavanagh goes. May go with the fist here or will he go for goal? Kavanagh! What a start for Tyrone! Nicky Hart has come up with a tactical masterclass.
Down to O'Gara, he's kicked another one! And Dublin's eliminate Tyrone from the championship.
For Conor Callahan back in the end of the game. Conor Callahan through! Goal! What a strike!
You read the game better when you've all the facts.
You're welcome back again, of course, to Croke Park on All-Ireland final day. And right now, here on the programme, let's hear from the Dublin manager, Jim Gavin. We sat down with him recently to get his thoughts on the challenge ahead.
Dublin are again the champions, the 3 in a row.
I think really we're witnessing one of the greatest teams in GA history. They'll go for their 4 in a row next year and their 5 in the year after, but I think Jim Gavin has really amassed a special group of players.
We're just privileged to be back in a final. I suppose the supporters will no doubt discuss it. But the guys in the team are very present, and they're just trying to do their best in a game against a magnificent Tyrone team.
Oh, these are crazy scenes now at the start of the new National League.
I think what's happened in the past, in the games in the past, it's very, from the Dublin perspective, it's very much in the past. We've never traded off it, we've never referenced it. Recent games will certainly drive our attention. We have 2 great games this year, Bonoma against Tyrone back in the league in February, and again in the second game of the quarter-final round robin series, we had a fantastic battle against Tyrone. Fantastic defences they always have had, but probably their attacking progress probably doesn't get enough airtime. You know, of the 10 championship games that they've played, 17 goals, over 160 points. So when you have that in your armoury, that probably shows you how potent they can be. The football that we play is just a reflection of what's played at Dublin Club, and say even coming to Munster. It is based on an honest, open attacking game plan. But obviously the modern game has changed, so defence has become very much part of a coach's remit, so we look after that heavily as well. But yeah, our core philosophy will be attack-based where we can. Sometimes that's not possible, but teams get a lot of players behind the ball, so you need to try and figure that out and have different strategies to try and get scores on the board. We always see those pre-season competition as an opportunity for emerging players to stake a claim at the National League squad, and if they can do well within the group and our internal training and play well in National League games, then they obviously push themselves forward. So we're just opening the door to create the opportunity for the player. It's up to them to step through the door and to work hard at their game and to be their very best. So it's really just about giving players opportunities. I don't see it as hard work. It's just really enjoyable. You know, the enthusiasm that the Dublin players have is infectious. You just turn up to training and you see the energy, how bubbly they are, and it's just a privilege to work with these players. And I think at this stage of the season, you're very much in their coattails. So the players and the leaders in the group are driving it forward, and in some respects the management team are just there to guide them along the way.
And indeed, our thanks to Jim Gavin for giving us his time during the week. As you can see, Mr. Brolly is here with us, and congratulations, Joe, on the event that we've just seen down pitch side, which you obviously enjoyed, although a little bit of mixed emotions, I suppose. One man missing from the...
Well, the strength of my emotions took me by surprise, because I didn't think it would feel like that. But to be there again, and the All-Ireland final, a symbol for GAA, people all over the world. And then, obviously, we felt very keenly the loss of Eamon Coleman, who was great fun and our spiritual sort of leader, a source of fun and all of that. But we were delighted that his daughter Margaret was there today. She's travelled over from the north of London, and she stood in his stead. And, you know, she was making the point earlier that she loves to get home as often as possible, because although the north of England's grand, there's no sense of community. She comes back here, she's immersed in the community immediately. So it was a beautiful day, and we're very grateful for that.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, and well done again to all you guys. Pat, let's talk about this present Dublin team. That was a famous team. This is a famous team, and it's going to get more famous if they win this All-Ireland. But I suppose what we also have to put into the mix here, like any team, like your own team back in the day, it's not the same team kind of that just goes year to year.
Well, it's interesting with talk of Dublin possibly winning 4 in a row now, and a lot of comparisons between the Kerry 4 in a row team. But, you know, it's very interesting. The Kerry 4 in a row team that won 78-81, the team that won the 4 in a row in 81 had only one change from the team that started in 78, and that one change was an enforced change due to injury. Whereas the Dublin team, who are now going for 4 in a row, the difference since their first one, there's 6 players gone. 4 forwards are gone. Bernard Brogan, Diarmuid Connolly, Paddy Andrews, Paul Flynn, Dennis Bastick is gone, and Rory O'Connell gone. 6 gone. And that's the thing about it, is what it highlights is that Gavin is not afraid to wield the axe. He's not afraid to freshen things up. Last year he brought in Niall Scully and Conor Callan, and this year he's brought in Owen Murchan and Brian Howard, and they've freshened them up, and they've been a revelation. Murchan is small, he's pacey, he's a tenacious, tight marking defender. Getting his championship debut against Donegal with one job, to follow man Mark McHugh, and you can see, despite where the ball is, his sole focus was marking Mark McHugh. Right. Pressure on Ryan McHugh, forcing Ryan onto the left foot wide against Tyrone. Another man marking job, this time on Niall Sludden. Very effective. Sludden is forced to overcarry the ball. Sludden was held scoreless and replaced. A brilliant man marker. But Brian Howard has been a revelation. He has everything, an all-round football. Watch this for fielding. Over the heads of Brian Fenton and Michael Murphy. Lovely feet, jinky runner. This is unique to him, the way he spins in and rolls out of a tackle. He was brilliant in this game against Donegal. He was only on for 50 minutes. He had 35 possessions. He kicked the point with the right, he kicked the point with the left. And this is Dublin at their best, stretching the play. But watch where Brian Howard does. He identifies the space, and you see him at his best. The ball, the Galway defence is brought over, a switch onto Brian Howard. Look, lovely footwork, lovely jinking runner, identifies the space and takes a point. Look, Brian Howard, he can play half-back, he can play centre-field, he can play in the forwards. He's a nailed-on certainty already for an all-star. He's probably also going to be the young footballer of the year. So this is what Jim Gavin has done. It's not resting on your laurels, it's freshening things up, new tactics, new players, and certainly Murchan and Howard have been a revelation.
And nailed on certainty for an all-star, he says, so that's one of our jobs taken care of already at this time of the year. Now, at this point here on the programme, time for us to head down pitch side. Joanne Cantwell is there to get some views from the rival camps. Joanne.
Yeah, well, it's just a little over 12 months since Sean Kavanagh was on the Tyrone team, who was left shell-shocked by Dublin in an All-Ireland semi-final. Kieran Whelan remembers the days when the Dubs were the underdogs going into a meeting these two counties. So, Sean, straight away, how much better is this Tyrone team, if at all, than they were in that All-Ireland semi-final?
They'll be much better prepared, Joanne, there's no doubt in that. We weren't expecting that level of a performance from Dublin last year. But
why not, though?
We thought our system was unbreakable. I think what we learned that day and what Tyrone have learned from the games against Dublin earlier this season is you cannot play like that against Dublin. That was arrogance on our behalf, but the Tyrone players have a great sense of being able to stop teams whenever they work out their strengths. I think we know now what Dublin will do today. I think Tyrone know we're going to have to go man-to-man at times. We're going to have to take risks. Everyone in Tyrone wants this Tyrone team now to come down and have a go at Dublin. And you know what? If we walk away here today losing by 10 points, having a go, I think everyone will be happy getting up the road. But if they do have a go, I have the sneaky suspicion there's enough character in this Tyrone team to possibly get over the line today.
Does that surprise you to hear? We see the Tyrone players coming out there, and Sean's not the first person to say this Tyrone team will have no fears. That's despite the fact that they were shell-shocked, was the word I used. They were left shell-shocked by the Dublin.
Yeah, well, I think, Joanne, if we get a 10-point victory today, I'll be very, very happy going back up the road. Listen, I think, as Sean said, it didn't work for them last year, so they have to try something different. So it's a real game of risk and reward. You know, it's going to be very, very difficult for Tyrone to push out on Dublin. Dublin have so much power in that middle of the park. And if they do, can they do it for 70 minutes? Will they leave too many chances inside for Dublin? And I think that's where Dublin have to be ready, that if Tyrone adapt their game plan, that Dublin switch it up a bit and get ball quicker into the forward line and try hurt them. So, listen, it's a huge task. Dublin have the experience, being here the last 3 years. It's the first All-Ireland for a lot of these guys. Big day from Tyrone. The first 10-15 minutes is going to be crucial, that they kind of stay in this game, they settle into the game and they become comfortable.
I think Tyrone, Joanne, has to bring this game into an emotional battle. In the 0-3 final coming here, and we weren't at our best, but everything was pure emotion. It was Armagh, it was the rivalry. This is a new team. There's 14 new players who are going to start an All-Ireland final here today for Tyrone. But if they can pull Jim Gavin out of his systems approach and maybe throw a couple of surprises tactically, maybe throw Petey Hart inside where John Small can't touch him, and go at this with an emotional outlook, a bit like Limerick and the Hurl, I think we could have a shock.
But I think the key thing is controlling that emotion as well and being composed. This Dublin team is very, very comfortable. You expect a sense of fiery battle from Tyrone. They have to maybe drag the game down a little bit in the first 10 minutes, try and unsettle Dublin. But at the same time, they're going to have that composure.
Other teams have tried that in the past.
Yeah, well, it hasn't worked. But listen, Tyrone have come here in All-Ireland final days before, an ambush team. So that's what they have to do. They have to try and stay in this game as long as possible.
Well, there is an awful lot of comparisons to an ambush back in 2008 when you, Sean, and the Tyrone team were the big underdogs against Kerry. But is it a fair comparison? Do Tyrone have the same or anything close to the same quality of players in their squads?
I think the uncertainty with me is whether we have enough up front. I think we have enough at the back. I would trust the Tyrone guys to go man-on-man with Dublin, and I hope, I'm trying to coax Colm all week to go out and play a bit more around the centre of the field.
Does he listen to you more than he listens to Nick?
He definitely doesn't listen to me, but I've been whispering in his ear, and I would love to see him to go out and impose himself around the midfield. Don't leave Brandon Fenton free. Brandon Fenton, in my opinion, is probably the best player in Ireland at the moment. Him and Ciarán Kilkenny 50-50. I think Colm has to impose himself on him physically, which he can do. And if he does that there, and you know what, I think Tyrone are going to have to rely on someone coming up with something different today. Maybe a Conor McAlliskey scoring 4 or 5 points from play. It's possible. it's a hope as much of an expectation. But if they do that and someone can catch fire in the forward unit, it could be Tyrone's day.
Yes or no? Were you tipping them to win?
No comment.
His heart is overruling the head.
Yeah, it's
I'm
emotion
not
at
even
this
going
stage with me.
not even going to bother asking you for your predictions. The good news is the sun is absolutely shining here. Now, there are quite a few Tyrone infiltrators in the hill as well, but there is an absolute perfect setting for an All-Ireland final.
It is, Joanne. It is very warm, and I noticed that on Hill 16. I have to say, it doesn't matter what county you're from, the scene on Hill 16 when the Dubs are playing is something special. Sean, obviously talking about Tyrone there. Joe, you want to talk about Tyrone, and you want to talk about what you say is a lack of attacking chemistry. Is that
well? Last year, after the humiliation against the Dubs, they should have then said, "Look, we've got to go man to man. We can use Collie Cavan as the sweeper, use the Dublin template," but they didn't. They dawdled along. Yeah. What happened was they eventually went man to man against Monaghan to deal with all the tactical problems created by not going man to man. But what we saw that day was they were a team unused to playing attacking football together. And that alchemy, that chemistry that is required for a great forward line, you know, as any of the boys will tell you here, it takes a while. It doesn't take months, it takes a year or two at the very least. And we saw then against Monaghan, in the first half alone, 6 balls into the keeper's hands, 7 wides. And in the second half, that problem continued. They got a lucky goal in the end to rescue them. But this is an example. 72.5 minutes, there's 30 seconds left on the clock. Now the Dubs would have just tucked away possession. Tyrone are a point up. He kicks the ball away again into the keeper's hands. There's no thought put into it, there's no composure. Monaghan could easily have gotten the equaliser. And that's the problem. Mayo have come up against Dublin, they've gone man to man, they've been brilliant because they've been playing attacking football for 6 years. Tyrone, I think it's come too soon. What they want to do today is go out and play with honour and pride and go for the game, just as Sean suggests. Because no matter what else happens, I believe that this will be a launch pad for a Tyrone team that could become a great team.
Right,
you know, so the thing is to go out, make it unpredictable, go after them, because the Dubs will cough up chances for them if they do that.
All right, let's see how it all works out. And right now, though, it is time for us to get updates on the team lineouts. In the commentary box this afternoon, Ger Canning and Desi Dolan.
Thank you very much indeed, Michael. The word we are getting from Dublin in the last couple of minutes is that they will be unchanged. I might have the words, at least for now, but there are 2 changes for Tyrone, and the changes there involve Rory Brennan coming in and Conor Myler coming in as well. Alongside me, I've got Desi, as you mentioned. Those 2 changes, I was anticipating that Conor Myler might come in if fit at all.
Yeah, look at Tyrone in the 0-3, 0-5 and 0-8 final were underdogs. Mickey Harte did something them days to surprise the opposition. Today he's changed the team. He probably needs to do something drastic. Under Jim Gavin, they played 38 games, they've only lost 1. So Mickey Harte is pulling a rabbit out of a hat. Will it be good enough?
In fact, in the 2008 final, the last final that they played here, he also made 2 changes just before the start. Let's take a check on the teams then. I will start with Dublin, and one man who's seen it all, and of course he's done it all as well. That's Stephen Cloxton. It's his 7th time facing Tyrone in the championship. Named in his full backline today are Philly McMahon playing in his 50th championship match and Owen Merchant playing in his first All-Ireland final. The semi-final victory over Galway showed how former Footballer of the Year Jack McCaffrey was back to his best. Injury cut short his participation in last year's decider. Lining up at centre field today for Dublin will be Brian Fenton from Raheny and James McCarthy, who was brilliantly effective in the 2017 decider. The youthful half-forward line shows Con O'Callaghan, flanked by Niall Scully, who came on as a sub last year, and Brian Howard, for whom this is his first All-Ireland. And just ahead of them, well, there's some number changes for Kieran Kilkenny, Paul Mannion, who's been prolific, and top scorer, of course, Dean Rock. Well, plenty there to keep Niall Morgan on his toes. He's been sharing the goalkeeping duties this year with Mickey O'Neill. The full backline has been well marshalled all summer long by UUJ student Ronan McNamee, forced off in Omagh through injury the last time these sides met. He plays behind the half backline where Tiernan McCann and Peter Hart will be expected to show the usual high work rate, which, as you've just heard, Rory Brennan coming in to replace Frank Burns. Well, Colm Cavanagh, as per usual, will be in the middle of the field or so, but of course he tends to play sweeper, and alongside him will be Cathal McShane, possibly likely to play a little further forward. The captain, Matty Donnelly, starts at half forward with Kieran McGeary on the opposite wing and the crafty Niall Studden in his 20th championship match, prompting from number 11. And in the inside forward line, much will depend on the success rate of Conor McAlliskey. He missed last year's championship because of injury, and of course there's a start for Conor Myler as well in place of Richie Donnelly. Well, both managers have unblemished All-Ireland final records. Mickey Hart of Tyrone hoping to make it a 4th Sam Maguire win, with Jim Gavin seeking to add another title victory to the 4 that he's already overseen. All about to be revealed, Michael, in the next few minutes.
It most certainly is. I suppose the thing about teams these days, Ger was giving you the changes there. These are panels that we use today in the matches. But even having said that, Colin Burke, you can only put 15 players out in the field. So it's also down to the subs you can bring on and make the impact.
Yes, but some teams now are picking a team to finish the game as well as start the game. And I think it was apparent after the match versus Donegal that Tyrone then decided that they needed. In this game, you see Harry Loughran coming on against Dublin and kicking a great point, and it was the first time, I think, that Mickey Hart really trusted his bench, or maybe it was a position that he had to. Against Donegal, Tyrone were in trouble, and Lee Brennan and Kieran McGeary came on to that game and made a big difference. They came on, they had to win the match for Donegal, and we can see great points from both Brennan and McGeary, and then in the end of the game, Declan McClure, well, it was really over at this stage, but he came on. They were all subs scoring at the end. But in that game, Tyrone subs changed the course of the game against Donegal. We're used to seeing Dublin subs coming on, and it's merely mopping up operations. Paul Flynn, Kevin McMenamin and Cormac Costello, and they always just come on to add a bit of gloss. See Costello here, how quick he gets the ball down to his foot and over the bar. And what Tyrone need to do in this particular game is they need to put the Dublin side under pressure, that the Dublin subs have to come on to win the game rather than just look good and kick easy scores as they did here in this match. And that is the test for them, to put it to the last 10 minutes. The only team that has done it in the last 5 years, of course, has been Donegal, and Dublin subs came on against Donegal in that second half back in 2014 and weren't able to make an impact because there wasn't the same amount of room. Tyrone need to put Dublin into that zone where there isn't room in the Tyrone backline, and those forwards don't have the same impact.
Well, I suppose another big impact on Gaelic football in the modern era, Joe, is the kickouts by the goalkeeper, and we know Stephen Cluxton's record here and the template that he has set. So how do Tyrone work around that?
Tyrone have a problem here. Against Monaghan, they went to a flat press, so they went man to man. Now what that means is that your opponent decides where the ball's going to go, and Rory Began had a field day. Monaghan were, generally speaking, compressed in the middle. This first kick out that went over the top, it yielded a great goal chance, and Conor McManus botched it. On 4 separate occasions during the game, Began hit that identical kick out over the top, over the 45. Now, on the other 3 occasions, like the first, Monaghan botched them. But you imagine Dublin getting these opportunities. I just had a look through the statistics during the week. In the last 3 games between Dublin and Tyrone, of 16 kickouts kicked over the top, Dublin have manufactured 1-9. Now, any of these opportunities are goal chances for Dublin, and so Tyrone must, between the last game and today, have recalibrated here, because if they go man to man and allow Cluxton to dictate where the kickouts are going to go, it will be a disaster, because Dublin will convert these chances. Their conversion rate is almost 70%, which is unprecedented in Gaelic football, and that's a brilliant opportunity to get a score on your own kickout if everyone's pressing in and you're deciding where that kickout's going.
Could I just make one point?
They need to have gone to a zonal defence today on the kickouts, because otherwise there'll be serious trouble.
I just back up exactly what Joe is saying. If you want to get it right, you want to tell your forwards, don't mark the backs at all, but stay in a zone, and the outside player stays outside the back so that the ball can't be kicked out wide to the sideline. Now, it's a risky business, but you can do it after a score, because the forwards have plenty of time to organise themselves. But the problem with Cluxton is he doesn't give the forwards.
You'll recall, Colin, the very first kick-out that they had against Tyrone last year, and what we thought was going to be an epic battle of systems. Cluxton kicked it long over the top to Scully, and Tyrone immediately abandoned the press after that.
But go back to that last 15 minutes in Omagh. Maybe Dublin had taken the foot slightly off the pedal, but there was certainly a change in attitude.
Definitely.
Mentally and tactically from Tyrone in that last 15 minutes. They pressed up and Cluxton kick out. Cluxton, 3 of the 4 kick-outs he lost. In that game also, Tyrone kicked 6 of the last 8 scores because they showed conviction. you have to gamble. I mean, you're not going to go man to man with the Dubs for 70 minutes because it demands huge reserves of fitness. It demands huge concentration. But I think today, yes, they'll have to press up. Yes, they'll have to go man to man. But I think they'll have to alternate it. Say, do it for periods, then go back to the zone.
Pat, it's very difficult. Now, if you're setting a team out against Dublin and you're saying, right, you know, look, we're going to try and play 2 or 3 simultaneous game plans. It's already confusion for a team who are going out there unsure of themselves. Tyrone are not going out there certain of how they're going to play and certain of winning the game the way the Dubs are. So I think that what they've got to do is have what Kavanagh was talking about, the courage of their convictions. Go man to man, let Colin Kavanagh play as a sweeper. You will get at the Dubs that way. It's the only way to do it. Mayo have shown us that every year.
Well, I look at the only time that the Dubs were beaten in a really serious competitive game over the last 18 months was probably the league final when Kerry beat them. And Kerry had 2 great performances against them. They had a draw against them and they beat them in the league final. And there was 2 things about it. They went man-to-man. They got stuck into them. They got in under their skin. But in particular, they targeted 3 key players within the Dublin setup for special attention. Kieran Kilkenny was man-marked, Brian Fenton was man-marked, and they walked the sweeper Keane O'Sullivan. But they went at it, and they played on their terms. That's
but
the key.
Great players overcome systems and tactics, you know.
Not necessarily, Colin. They didn't in 2014. Dublin couldn't overcome Donegal system in 2014.
At that time,
they've learned to overcome it.
Dublin were exposed at the back and they weren't playing a sweeper. But great players on the field are able to overcome tactical system. Tactics won't make you a great team. It can benefit you in the But the problem for Tyrone is they don't look as if they have the individual quality to back up their tactical system. I suppose certainly nothing compared to the team, say, of 10 years ago.
But the interesting thing about tactics is that how they've evolved with Dubs. When Jim Gavin came in with they were a swashbuckling, attacking, kicking game, first-time ball into the full forward line. And as the seasons have progressed, and particularly this year, I don't know why, but they've become mechanical, they've become conservative, and they're going through that process.
Hold on a second. Whenever you've got a team like Galway or Tyrone, as they have been playing, or Monaghan, and they've got 13 men behind the 45, you can't kick the ball forward. You've got to tailor your cloth accordingly.
Absolutely.
So this myth that Dublin have become a boring team, it's of necessity because of this dull defensive setup that they've had to endure. You watched them last year in the All-Ireland final and they weren't one bit dull playing man-to-man.
We talk about Tyrone and the tactics to overcome them. Dublin will have plenty of tactics. They will target Matty Donnelly. They will target Peter Hart. They will target Colin Kavanagh. So, like, you know, when it comes to it, Jim Gavin, even though he's the most talented bunch, has also decided that when he comes up against certain opposition, he plays a different type of game.
I suppose it's one thing that Martin Carney years ago branded paralysis by analysis.
Well, I think that I spoke about that one time because I'll tell you, paralysis by analysis came.
Where did you hear that, Pat?
It came from
you
Clive.
Said that was an original thought.
No, it wasn't. It came from Clive Woodward.
Usually accept that.
Excuse me. It came from Clive Woodward's approach to England winning the World Cup in 2003. It was paralysis by analysis. It was all about studying the opposition, identifying their key players, and coming up with a game plan to counteract it. And the game plan was executed through safety first, conservative, keeping possession, not taking risks, not taking chances. And what the GA coaches, particularly in Ulster First and everywhere else, and suddenly discovered, gee, this can really be adopted to Gaelic football. Gaelic football is a game that we can adopt a defensive system.
I say that if Tyrone, the seeds of recovery were there with Tyrone in the Monaghan game. We saw it in the last 20 minutes against Donegal. And what happens a lot is when a team have been playing a blanket defensive system for years, everyone loses confidence in playing real football. And what we saw today in the minor match was a brilliant display of open man-to-man football. And if Tyrone, because I always say this, and I believed it then and I believe it now, that we've all got a duty to the game of Gaelic football. In the same way that hurling people feel they've got a duty, we've a duty to the great game of Gaelic football. And if Tyrone come out of this with honour today, whether they win or lose, I will be absolutely delighted, because that'll light the touch papers for coaches all over Ireland to say, look, there is a better way of playing the game.
But I've no doubt, lads, and Colin, tell me what you think of this. It's all right saying what Joe said, and that's true enough. But is there any player sitting in a dressing room saying to themselves, we want to go out and play with honour? I want to go out and win the match.
Exactly, and every club team that are playing in a junior championship final over the next few weeks will take winning a very, very poor game than being part of a brilliant match which they lose. And that is the very nature of every player, and it's going to be the nature of the beast today. So if Dublin have to do whatever it takes to win this game, and if it's an ugly winning performance, they will be very happy with that. But their natural game, in fairness to them, is to move the ball fast, to kick the ball. The Tyrone game is, unfortunately, they get very few people in front of the ball, and they then don't have enough players to kick the ball into. It's here last year in this game, if you remember, they put Mark Bradley up front on his own, the smallest player on the team, and they had nobody to kick the ball into.
All right, lads, as you can see on your screens there, Uachtar Heron, Michael G. Higgins is emerging out to meet the teams and receive the presidential salute.
Lá speisialta ammanishtan speisialta bula leis na fórne Shindor Noi Uachtar na Héireann Mícheál D O'Higgins agus in éineach leis tá Uachtar Common Luke Lascoil Sean O'Horáin. What a splendid setting it is. Time for the president to meet the team, starting with the defending champions and their captain, of course, Stephen Claxton, hoping to be the first captain ever in the history of the GAA to take home Sam 4 years in a row as captain. Going down through it there with Paul Mannion. There's Brian Howard, what a season he's had. Con O'Callaghan, the big star of last year. That's Niall Scully, didn't start last year, was in the subs. James McCarthy, Brian Fenton, arguably the finest centre field player in the game. The brilliant Jack McCaffrey. And there's Johnny Cooper from Na Fianna, which is the same club, incidentally, that the president of the GAA, John Horan, belongs to. Up as far as Cian O'Sullivan, there's Philly McMahon. So the president wishing everybody the best. Conor Lane from Bantier Lyre in Cork has the honour of refereeing today's final, with David Goff and Paddy Nealon, his linesman. Sean Lafferty from Antrim there greeting the president. He's the sideline official. And the umpires, that's John Joe Lane, Conor's father, and DJ O'Sullivan, both from Bantier. Ray Haggerty's from Bride Rovers. And there's Pat Kelly from Kilshannock. I think that is, in fact, John Joe Lane there at the end. Today's skipper for Tyrone, Matty Donnelly from Trillick, now in his 7th season at this level, about to play his 42nd championship match, and the most important one as well. There's Ronan McNamee, the full-back this afternoon. Paddy Hampsey, I wonder what task he will be given. Tiernan McCann, who's got his brother also in the panel. There are 6 sets of brothers. There's Colm Kavanagh, he should have quite a duel today. Cathal McShane, who scored an all-important goal, or all-important point rather, against Meath in the first round of the qualifiers. Moving along up there through Matty to Mark Bradley, and then there's Conor McCalliskey. The men who've just come in now, that's Rory Brennan, and finally Conor Myler from Omagh. So a word from President O'Higgins and the president of the GAA to the skipper of Tyrone today, Matty Donnelly. What a great honour it is for him. Well, that's the formal introductions completed. The 2 presidents will view the match like the rest of us now. What we hope will be a fitting conclusion to the inter-county football season. It's the rematch of Dublin and Tyrone. The margin was 3 points in Omagh last month. Dublin hotly fancied today. Tyrone hoping to get it right this time. Let's have final words then before we start the 131st GAA Football Championship. Back to Michael and the 3 wise men.
Thanks indeed, Ger. Actually, one of the wise men, Joe Bradley, was making the point here, watching the presentations, that's how relaxed Tyrone looked, Joe, you said.
Do we have to put up with this sarcasm all the time? You get it out in the street on the way to the pitch, you get thronged, you know. Tyrone fans dancing around you chanting there's no London in Tyrone, and then our own people turn on us as well. I think they look very relaxed today, and I feel that they will go out and give a performance here. I think that had they been further down the road with attacking football, that we'd be talking about this in a totally different way. You have to accept. A friend of mine said, look how many Tyrone players would get on the Dublin team. Very, very few, if any. But nonetheless, whenever you go out and play football, as Mayo have shown, it brings unpredictability into the game. And if Tyrone could get a goal, and if Tyrone in the first 15 minutes can prevent Dublin from getting a goal, they could have that confidence that comes from being the underdog with nil expectations on them. And it could become a very interesting game. But the key, as the boys have said, is they've got to stay in this match for 50 minutes.
And touching on that, you know, the fact of it is, Colin Moore, that the last 2 All-Irelands, Dublin have won it against Mayo by a point, and one of them has been a replay. So, OK, it is fair enough to say they're a great team, which of course they are.
Beatable.
but they're not so far ahead.
No, not. But Mayo were a brilliant team as well, and I think maybe this year we should give them credit because they are missed with their supporters and their team. They were fantastic, and if they were around in any other era, they would have won an All-Ireland. But like an All-Ireland final should be a sort of a magical mystery, unpredictable tour of the pitch which inspires young people. And I would hope for that today, that the Dubs and Hill 16 expect a coronation. I hope we get a contest. If Tyrone could get a couple of goals early in the game, it would really make the whole thing interesting. But the Dublin players, I think, are brilliant individually, and brilliant players adapt to circumstances and can play by instinct. And because of that, I think Dublin, I'd be surprised if they don't win comfortably.
In actual fact, that has been the speculation with a lot of people down through the week in the last couple of weeks, Pat, is that this could be a very one-sided game. And in fact, the stats back it up a little bit in the sense that Dublin have won on an average of 13-point victories all through this championship.
Well, you can say a few things in favour of Tyrone. They're certainly not as one-dimensional coming into today as they did come into the semi-final.
Absolutely.
They're certainly close to Dublin in fitness, and that's something.
Yes.
Mickey Hart will certainly have some trick coming up his sleeve, and they've built momentum through the back door. But here, lads, you're talking about one of the greatest Gaelic football teams of all time. Dublin ticks so many boxes, whether it is leadership, impact subs, composure, decision-making, confidence, fitness. But you know what the key thing, Michael? The key thing, first of all, any All-Ireland winner over the years have had at least two marquee forwards. Tyrone don't have two marquee forwards, they don't even have one. And secondly, it's the forwards. Forwards will win All-Irelands. Dublin have quality forwards on the field, quality forwards to come on. Tyrone's forward line is not of the quality to win an All-Ireland. So Dublin, if they put the foot down, pedal to the metal, could win by 7 or 8 points.
And so before we hand over to the commentary team, I assume, lads, the three of you are on the same page here in terms of
the statistics make grim reading for Tyrone in their last 3 head-to-heads. The free taken, Dublin almost 90%, Tyrone 70%. Dublin's conversion rate 60% to Tyrone's 30%. That was when Tyrone were sitting ducks playing blanket defence. You know, they need to go out and have a go at it today. Like the point about the Dubs, on top of everything else, all their other great attributes, they work harder than everybody else too. And they've got such brilliant composure.
Their tackling is absolutely brilliant too. And I don't think there's any danger of complacency with Dublin.
And they're 12
what I would think is we'll be sitting here next year. Of course, Michael, you won't be sitting here.
I'll be sitting out there.
You'll be in your holiday home in the south of France drinking red wine. But I think we'll be here next year looking at the Dubs going for 5 in a row.
All right, lads, thank you very much indeed for that. Now, as ever, let me point out to you that if you'd like to hear commentary on this match in Irish, details are available on rte.ie/sport. But here for us right now, it is Ger Canning and Desi Dolan.
Thanks, Michael. What a setting, what atmosphere, what a day. Dublin the favourites. Tyrone have come with their own ideas. But when you're going for their 4th All-Ireland in a row and a 6th in 8 years, you're bound to be saddled with the favourites tag. And also the onerous task, of course, of going out and justifying people's expectations. Stephen Cluxton knows all about it. Wherever football is played throughout the 4 corners of Ireland and among the population further afield, there's always intense interest in the showpiece of the GAA season. People remember such great matches in the past involving Dublin and involving Tyrone, and they're hoping for something special again. Before all of that, we're going to have the anthem, which will be sung for us by Senan Dunn. Darren Byrne will be conducting the Artane Band, and everybody will stand and face towards the national flag for the playing of our own Navian.
The anthem will also be signed by Senan Dunn, conducted by Darren Byrne.
Such noise, such anticipation. Time to get underway. The 131st All-Ireland final, Dublin fancied, uncharted territory for Tyrone players. And will the sheer weight of Dublin's resources be too much for them? The man in charge is Conor Lane, his second All-Ireland final. He was here a couple of years ago, and that was the drawn match between Dublin and Mayo. It's Dublin who won the toss, and they've opted to play from left to right for the first half because they love to be playing into the hill for the second 35 minutes. The 10th meeting of these counties, all since 1984, and it's underway. Kavanagh gets a touch to it. Into it immediately came Cathal McShane. Here's Kieran McGeary. Looking ahead of him here, he's got Michael McKernan, who's making a burst forward. McShane once again looking to try and kick the opening point. Hasn't quite got it. Opening wide of the match instead.
Yeah, disappointing wide there, and that's one thing that Tyrone need to do. They need to be more efficient up front. Interesting to note, Kieran Kilkenny has been taken up by Tiernan McCann, and that'll be a very interesting battle today.
First kick out of the match then for Stephen Cluxton. He goes short into the hands of Owen Merchant. What role will he be given? Will it be to pick up Niall Snodden once the match settles down? Brian Fenton. Back as far as Johnny Cooper. Into Philly McMahon. Swiftly forward here to Johnny Small. Back in as far as Niall Scully. Scully colliding then with a number of Tyrone players, and the referee blowing his whistle, indicating just why he's awarding the free kick. And the first scoring opportunity of the day for Dublin.
Yeah, Peter Hart just left the arm in there a little bit too long, but interesting, if you look at it, John Small passed the ball, or Philly McMahon passed the ball to John Small. Dublin are committing to the attack already.
And immediately there's an injury here and a worry, and it looks to be Colm Kavanagh who is down injured. I can just make out the number 8. And they can't afford to play this match without the very influential 31-year-old from the Moy. Well, he came off second best there, being attended at the moment by Michael Hart, who's a son of Mickey, Michael the physio, and Dr. Damien O'Donnell in there as well. It's Mickey Hart's 290th game in charge. As far as Jim Gavin, well, he has happy memories of playing against Tyrone in All-Ireland finals. He played against them in 1995, and he was one of Dublin's scorers that day. Kavanagh's okay, and it'll be Dean Rock to take it, wearing number 15 today. They switch around the numbers from match to match. So with just over 2 minutes gone and just outside the D, in perfect conditions, glorious chance for Dublin to take the lead, which they duly do.
And Joe mentioned beforehand Dublin's accuracy from place balls. I think it's over 90% accuracy from Dean Rock this year.
Oh, he's been terrific in the last number of years. One of those going for another All-Ireland, a 5th in his medal collection if he makes it today. Niall Morgan now trying to organise the kick out here, and the players in front of him have gone into a kind of a grouping, and then they will burst forward, as you'll see, and leave space for Cathal McShane to beat his man to it there, who is Cian O'Sullivan, playing it off here as far as Rory Brennan. Tyrone's second attack involving Mark Bradley has a very good left foot, kicking it but not with the accuracy that was required, and that's a wide either side of the post by Tyrone. Not a good start.
Yeah, 2 disappointing misses for Tyrone, but a brilliant kick out by Niall Morgan. Obviously something they've worked on in training.
Jack McCaffrey now from Clontarf, taking it back here from John Small. Challenged late, but he got that ball in as far as Paul Mannion. Dished off immediately there to Jack McCaffrey again. It's McCaffrey as an attacker. Oof! Trying to chip the goalkeeper, and Niall Morgan reached to it, but there was a point for the taking, and he didn't take it. It's Cathal McShane instead. Third attack by Tyrone, this time Colm Kavanagh going long, very long, but too long and too far beyond Mark Bradley. And another one has gone astray. That's 3 wides already.
Yeah, and Peter Hart was screaming for the ball right in front of Colm Kavanagh, and you see that Jack McCaffrey, that was a very routine kick and he missed it. He'd be disappointed.
From the kick out, it's Brian Howard picking it up. What a wonderful season he's had. Lovely change of direction to take him past Cathal McShane. 45 metres out now. Swiftly inside here as far as Philly McMahon, up into the air. Well, a bit like the hurling match a couple of weeks ago, the opening minutes of this starting with a number of inaccuracies.
Yeah, and I can see Dublin forwards, they're doing a lot of pressing on Niall Morgan, trying to put him under a bit of pressure. But again, Philly McMahon shows you Jack McCaffrey missed Philly McMahon, but they're committing to the attack, and that's a worrying sign for Tyrone.
Nicely out here as far as Kieran McGeary, holding on to it here. They say he's probably better as an impact sub, but he started the last day in the semi-final against Monaghan. Did enough there to retain his place. Here's Conor Myler. Had been out with a hamstring injury. Can't have been terribly serious because he's made a very quick recovery. Holding off the challenge here of Paul Mannion is back, trying to defend on his own 45-metre line, and did enough that time to put the kick off and wins it back. Great play by Paul Mannion.
Yeah, the side of his game has really improved this year. Made a couple of crucial tackles. I think a one in Oma, an unbelievable tackle he made, and another great interception there.
It's Brian Howard once again coming forward here inside his own 65-metre line. Now a chance to look up and place it. Out for it there came the number 11, who's Conor O'Callaghan, the man who got a goal after a couple of minutes in the All-Ireland final last year, and of course a goal after 5 against Tyrone in the semi-final. That tugged back by Matty Donnelly. So another free kick.
Yeah, it's something they'll have to look at. Matty Donnelly is an experienced player, but Conor O'Callaghan is so direct when he gets the ball. We all remember that goal last year, but when he gets the ball in his hand, he wants to take on his man. And Tyrone need to be careful they don't concede too many frees.
Well, here is Dean Rock once again, the man who kicked Dublin to 3 in a row last year. Was absolutely nerveless with that last kick down at that end of the field as well. So this for a perfect start for Dublin. Looking for his second point of the match. That's got away to the left-hand side, and it's one he's missed.
Just some interesting matchups here. John Small has taken up Peter Hart again, and Owen Merkin, who kept Niall Sludden scoreless in Oma, is marking him, taking up that duty today again.
Another brilliant kick out this time, all the way as far as Ronan McNamee by Niall Morgan. He's done really well in his kicks so far, and the referee has spotted a foul inside, and it's going to be a free in for Tyrone, and a chance for them to draw level after 6.5 minutes.
Just watching Johnny Cooper and Mark Bradley off the ball, and Johnny Cooper was just holding him up for a second. Obviously Conor Lane was very aware of that, gave the free, so Johnny needs to be careful today. See it here in front, you can see him holding him on, and Mark Bradley's trying to get away from him, and it's a definite free in.
Peter Hart, the one who's going to take it from Erigel Kiroy. This to put his side on level terms after 7 minutes. They've had a couple of wides now, they've had more than that, they've had 3, so he needs this one and he gets it.
That's a great score from Peter to settle the nerves, and a massive Tyrone crowd here today.
Point apiece, the score's coming from free kicks. Stephen Cloxton again just trying to make certain of this one. It goes long, very long. It was Owen Merchant who was reaching for it, but he's beaten for it by Cathal McShane. And Tyrone have started this game now, or they certainly come into it more and more in the last couple of minutes. That's a great ball. That's an opportunity for Mark Bradley to kick the opening point from play, and he's put it over the bar, and Tyrone lead the All-Ireland final.
All came from a poor kick out from Stephen Cluxton. Both Owen Merkin under a lot of pressure. Great ball by Colin McShane, but Mark Bradley is a confidence player, and that's a nice finish to start.
Both sides having 4 scoring opportunities so far in this game, and that's another poor kick out, and there was nothing John Small could do about it.
Yeah, great pressure by Tyrone. They're going zonal, they're putting their hands up, making the presence felt, and Stephen Cluxton unusually has hit 2 bad kickouts.
And they're intent, Desi, on making a match of this. You get that feeling right from the word go. Matty Donnelly. Here as far as Niall Sludden. Needs to be very involved this time. Beautifully and lovely change of direction by Mark Bradley, and then laid off splendidly and put over the bar. Really good work by the wing-back, Tiernan McCann.
Great play again by Mark Bradley. They're struggling to deal with his movement, and a great pass off by Tiernan McCann. There's a little incident off the ball. Torek Hampsey and Paul Mannion, and Paul Mannion has went down to the ground, and I'm not sure if the referee has picked up on it.
Well, doctor and physio in immediately there. The physio, Kieran O'Reilly, and Conor Lane just checking that everything is in order.
But you said it, Gerard, there's one team that likes to spoil a party, is this Tyrone team, and under Mickey Hart, they're obviously high on confidence after playing 10 games. This is their 10th game this year. They've been road tested in the qualifiers.
Well, plenty for Jim Gavin to consider. Well, an awful lot of this match still to play, and he's not one who ever does panic. But there is a worry now about the injured player here. I'm sure Mickey Hart will be absolutely thrilled with the start his team has made. Okay, they missed 3 chances early on, but they've shown a determination and a grit to stay with Dublin, to get in their faces, a determination to win every ball that's going there.
Yeah, Paul Mannion is asking the question, did you see it? Pádraig Hampsey is a tight, tenacious, tough defender.
Cluxton this time, away out to the wings. James McCarthy manages to retain it with the help of Cian O'Sullivan. Not an easy one for Jack McCaffrey to contain. Fenton wanted it, but McCaffrey goes forward instead to Philly McMahon. Under pressure, and Kieran McGeary with 3 men surrounding McMahon that time. Gives it out as far as Sludden. Niall Sludden trying to take it around O'Sullivan. And again, maybe not the best option.
Yeah, and that's the boys refer to the quality forwards. You need 2 quality forwards to win All-Ireland. That wasn't the right option. He panicked under pressure. He should have laid it off.
This time there's a gap and there's an opportunity for Billy McMahon to take that kick out easily. And suddenly there's a channel opening up right through the middle of this Tyrone defence. They're funneling back in and around the D. Small should have been able to put that one over the bar. It's a bad miss.
Yeah, we've seen a bad miss from Jack McCaffrey earlier on. That's another poor miss. Billy McMahon drew the man in. Great play. But John Small should have knocked that over the bar.
Kick out this time is across here towards Rory Brennan. He's subsequently fouled in by Niall Scully. A few of these Dublin players haven't really got into the match yet.
Yeah, it's a rip-roaring start to the match. Very enjoyable, and Tyrone are bringing it to these Dublin guys.
Tiernan McCann, all the way down through the centre. Taking it forward here is Conor Myler. Way out to the wings, out as far as Peter Hart. Hart, difficult one for a left footer. Switches it onto the right and it doesn't quite work out for him.
And a little bit more composure and Tyrone could be really ahead. And in that instance, Mark Bradley had made a great run off Peter Hart. If he laid it off, it was a certain score.
So many chances being created by Tyrone early on. He's already taken 3 of 7.
The real intent about Tyrone in this game early on.
Cluxton again. Easy one as far as John Small. Nobody was picking him up. Chance for Niall Scully now to boot it forward here. Collected by Con O'Callaghan, the cooler player. All the way across here. In considerable difficulty as Dean Rock gets it back as far as Kieran Kilkenny. Needs to have a very influential match, you would have thought. Back to O'Callaghan again, and he was thinking about his next move, and that was enough for Kieran McGeary to nip in. And the referee has decided that it's going to be a foul, a free kick for Dublin, a foul by McGeary. In his anxiety and in his desire to try and win that possession, had the hand in over the shoulder.
Yeah, you can see it. It was great play by Kieran McGeary, but at the same time he did leave the hand in over, and definitely the referee was right in that instance.
In the 13th minute of the match, and Dublin trying to get within a point of Tyrone. It's been some 10 minutes now since Dublin scored in this match. Dean Rock, his 3rd free kick, made the 1st. An awful lot of jeering in his ear, but he remains nice and composed, but misses again.
Yeah, and
dear oh dear.
2 big misses for Dean Rock early in the game. I talked about his 90% accuracy. He'll be disappointed. He's a pressure player, and normally he gets them kicks.
Are they going to have one of those days? Niall Morgan, straight down, through the centre. Hit with a lot of length, and it comes back very kindly. McGeary placing it. Knocked away there by Peter Hart, who started in the forwards, wearing number 7. And then there's a foul by Cian O'Sullivan, and it's got to be a free in. The player who was fouled was Cathal McShane.
Yeah, Dublin are at 6s and 7s back there. Cian O'Sullivan giving that free away. Well broke down there. But you can see just obstructed by Cian O'Sullivan, and the referee was right on top of that.
Well, here's the first opportunity that Conor McAlliskey is going to have to take a free kick. The number 15, who's been the leading scorer for Tyrone. 2 goals and 38 points this season, 214 of those coming from play. The man who missed last year. damaged his cruciate in a McKenna Cup match at the beginning of January and missed the entire season for Tyrone. But so good to see him back. This is a very important kick for him. Needs to get it right, get his confidence right. 35 metres out. He's made the perfect connection, and that's the 4th point in a row for Tyrone.
Yeah, I watched
4-1.
I watched him in Ballybuffet. He missed a couple of frees early on against Dublin, and his confidence drained. But it's very important, kicking into the hill to kick a point like that.
Another short kick out this time as far as Jack McCaffrey. There were a couple of wayward ones earlier on, but now they've been able to pick a few holes. But it's won back again through sloppiness. That time Brian Fenton's pass was errant and Matty Donnelly picked it up. Conor McCalliskey, probing ball, interesting ball down there as far as Mark Bradley. Does some very good running. Chases after lost causes and makes angles for players coming through the centre to pick him out. He's doing a kind of Kieran Kilkenny on it there, running right across the 45-metre line. Matty Donnelly in here as far as McCalliskey, up into the air, and another white flag and another point. 2 in a row by McCalliskey.
And the running from Mark Bradley on the inside line is causing Dublin all sorts of problems, winning prime possession, but what a score by Conor McCalliskey.
The 6-1 outsiders, 6-1 on outsiders, are doing well. That's Kilkenny. This is McCaffrey. Jack McCaffrey trying to cut inside here, chased by McGeary. Well, there were such hot favourites coming into this. Everybody says Dublin don't read the papers and they don't believe the hype and so on, but it must have got to some of them. Conor Callaghan underhits this one, most unlike him. Easy for Niall Morgan. Conor Myler now, able to start from a deep position. Man who captained St Mary's in Belfast to the Sigerson Cup victory against UCD last year, a UCD team that contained 5 of Dublin's team today. Peter Hart. No challenge on him. Dublin retreating. In here as far as Max Shane. Having to carry it out to an angle here, no proper shot on for him, so gives it back to Kavanagh. Paddy Hampsey now. Here's McGeary from Pomeroy. And Matty Donnelly, the captain, just slowing it down again here. Gives Dublin, however, a chance to get everybody back. All bar one now back behind the ball by Dublin. That's McKernan, having a great first season, only 20 years of age. Mark Bradley from Killyclogher. Again, Matty Donnelly, ready to take off through the centre now. Played off here to Cathal McShane, and McShane makes a hames of it at the end.
Yeah, Lionel Sludden had made a great run off the shoulder of Matty Donnelly. I'd say Matty Donnelly fancied the opportunity, but Tyrone are dictating the play. They're holding on to possession, and Dublin right now uncharacteristically are struggling.
But McCaffrey is so pacey. There's nobody coming to meet him. Nobody at all. Finally able to play it off easily. Giving it into Kieran Kilkenny, who kicks it mightily and over the bar. One Dublin badly needed. They went nearly 18 minutes without scoring.
Yeah, he's the real leader of this Dublin team. 2 goals and 21 coming into the game, all from play. When Dublin need him most, he always steps up.
Niall Morgan once again with the puzzle of where to kick this ball out to. 3 Dublin forwards in front of him, and he can't kick it over them. Kilkenny in here. O'Callaghan like he did last year. Mannion. Oh, it's just wide. It's a penalty, however. A penalty for Dublin. Paul Mannion was the one coming in last there. Down he went. They challenged the decision, but the referee, Conor Lane, has made up his mind. This was Kieran Kilkenny again. In here as far as Paul Mannion, and then a combination of Tyrone bodies coming across to meet him. And it was Kieran McCann.
I'm not sure, Ger, that's a penalty. I'm not sure what he could do. He got his foot to the ball. The ball went out. It looked like it was a good tackle.
Kieran McCann absolutely distraught at that.
I think it was Matty Donnelly,
yellow
number
card
10.
as well. First yellow card of the match has been issued. Paul Mannion being treated. And Dublin have a goal opportunity coming up in just a moment from a penalty. Still a lot of concern about the well-being of Paul Mannion, the Kilmacud Croke player. Dean Rock will be the one who will take it.
Yeah, and that all came from the poor kick out from Niall Morgan. You can see it coming here. Well, actually, Tiernan McCann, it was a block. I can see it now. I was looking at Mally Donnelly, and you see Tiernan McCann blocking him. It's like obstructing his kick. So I can see where Conor Lynn is coming from.
The decision anyway is a penalty for Dublin. And in fact, it's not going to be Dean Rock who's going to take it. He's walking away from it. The man who was injured, taking that in there. Paul Mannion is the one who's going to hit it. Man who scored a goal already in this championship against Longford, but that was quite a while back. Leinster semi-final.
Well, Niall Morgan will be disappointed. He started the game so well. The kickouts were excellent, and just one poor kickout, and that shows you the level that's required.
Back on his feet again comes Matty Donnelly. Several injured bodies in that particular collision. The end result was Tiernan McCann getting a yellow card, Dublin getting a penalty, and an opportunity now to tie up the match here in the 21st minute. It's Niall Morgan in goal against Paul Mannion from Dublin. There have been so many critical penalties in All-Ireland finals down the years. Some converted, some missed. This one is well and truly struck home by Paul Mannion.
A brilliant finish by Paul Mannion, a goal and 8 up to today. But a real confidence player. He's playing excellent this year, and that is a brilliant finish.
The teams are level. Dublin won 2, Tyrone 5 points. After all the hard work that Tyrone had been doing, they have been pegged back, brilliantly taken, well dispatched. This time it's a difficult kick out for McGeary to hold on to. Kilkenny playing it inside here, and that ball knocked it over the bar. Dean Rock with his second.
Yeah, and there's a concern with Niall Morgan. If the kickouts start going bad, his confidence can drain. Another poor kick there, and Dean Rock, he'd be delighted to get that one over the bar.
Well, there have been mistakes in this first half by both teams, but plenty of excitement as well. From this kick out, it's down there towards Brian Fenton. He wins this one, storms his way through here now. Dishes it off to Con O'Callaghan. Back outside it comes to Dean Rock. Rock! And the cheer will tell you it's gone between the uprights, and he's got a third.
Great play by Brian Fenton in midfield, winning primary possession. And again, well laid off, and Dean Rock, fantastic finish. You can see it here, an opportunity perhaps to took the point. Good decision.
Well, he's so sharp, either from frees or from open play. Well, now Niall Morgan has got to get this one right. That time, Colin Kavanagh was about to jump for it. James McCarthy gave him a little nudge in the back, and the referee blows his whistle and gives the free kick to Tyrone. So from their own kick out, at least they get possession and an opportunity to carry it downfield.
Yeah, Niall Morgan seems to be going long a lot of his kicks. There's not many options. Dublin forwards are pressing extremely hard on the Tyrone kick out.
Matty Donnelly, as far as Conor Myler, looking to really stamp his imprint on this match. Giving it in here as far as Cathal McShane, switching around well and knocking it over the bar. A good point by Cathal McShane. He spun brilliantly and kicked with accuracy, so it's a 1-point game once again.
Yeah, and an important score for Tyrone to respond quickly to the goal conceded a couple of moments ago.
Well, Dublin just showed us there in those couple of minutes of play, when they managed to get a goal and 2 points, the goal from the penalty, the amount of danger that they still present for this Tyrone defence. James McCarthy fouled, ready to take the free kick himself. Con O'Callaghan always making himself available. His marker is Michael McKernan. Dean Rock, back once again here. O'Callaghan, great play. Held up well. Kieran Kilkenny. So many Tyrone players around him. And in the end, he held on too long. Good pressure play by Tyrone to force the error on Kilkenny.
Tyrone will be delighted with the amount of turnovers that it had in this half. It shows great intent, great work rate.
Two very, very fit teams, well conditioned, ready for this fray. And taking off here is Conor McAlliskey. The ball is accurately in here to Peter Hart. Hart, little block on it. In it goes. Well taken there, and it's Mannion. Well, he's up at one end scoring penalties. He's back defending at the second end or the other end, and that's twice he's done that. Valuable interceptions on his part. Niall Scully. He's having quite a match, isn't he?
Yeah, Paul Mannion this year has been exceptional for Dublin, but his defensive duties are really fantastic. He really gets back, wins primary possession, and right back in his full back line intercepted that ball.
Cian O'Sullivan. Nicely struck into the path of Kilkenny, able to lay it off here as far as James McCarthy. Switched across, Dean Rock taking on Ronan McNamee. Helped out. That's going to drop over the bar via the hand of Niall Morgan from Jack McCaffrey. His second point in this year's championship, his first today, and he makes it 1-5 to 6 points.
Yeah, he pops up everywhere, and Jack McCaffrey, brilliant finish there, a crucial score for Dublin.
Out towards Peter Hart. Great ball across if it can work out. Doesn't have too much pace. There's a lot of work to do to keep it in, and they haven't managed to do it. But tough for Conor McAlliskey.
That long ball is working extremely well for Tyrone. Dublin inside full back line, and obviously Mickey Hart has identified that as a weakness, and if he can get enough ball in there, they'll cause trouble at Tyrone full forward line.
Dublin are about to make a change, I can tell you, because there's problems here for Cian O'Sullivan, and they have Michael Fitzsimons ready on the sideline, ready to come in. And it's a bit of a miracle that he managed to make it in the first place. Yeah. Remember, he went off injured 3 weeks ago in the semi.
He's a lot of problems with his hamstrings, and if it's a muscular injury like that, there's no coming back from it, and I'd be surprised to see Cian O'Sullivan staying on the pitch.
Well, this is
it's very disappointing for Cian.
It is.
Ultimate professional, a brilliant player, and obviously that hamstring wasn't ready for the game.
So Mick Fitzsimons comes on. He was part of the team that won the All-Ireland back in 2011. He was the man of the match as well in the past in an All-Ireland final replay. Cian O'Sullivan's day over, his 7th All-Ireland final, including a replay. He's some player, but unfortunately the injury has taken its toll. 1-5 to 6 points. That's 8 points to 6. Very generous and warm round of applause for Cian O'Sullivan. Big favourite with the Dublin fans. The Kilmacud Crokes player, 30 years of age. Today was playing in his 47th championship match. He's always been a star.
And Mick Fitzsimons going straight into the full back line. Very tight, tenacious defender as well. So
he can play anywhere, can't he?
Yeah, he's a great player. Got man of the match a couple of years ago in the All-Ireland final.
Cluxton kicking it into the centre here, touched down by Brian Fenton. Onto it was coming Johnny Cooper. He was pushed out of the way, however, unnecessarily on the part of the Tyrone defence, because the ball is now with Niall Scully, and there's more threat to that Tyrone rearguard. Conor Callaghan, lovely deception, takes it in. No penalty this time, but there's a goal instead from Niall Scully. His 3rd championship goal. Remember, he got 2 here against Donegal in the Super 8s. He's got 1 here in the 28th minute.
And brilliant play again by Conor Callaghan. He's really doing well. Very direct running, created that opportunity for Niall Scully, and a brilliant finish.
And all of a sudden, there are 5 points between the teams, but O'Callaghan takes so much of the credit. The referee says play on, there was no penalty, and Niall Scully into benefit. 2-5 to 6 points all of a sudden. A game where up to the 21st minute, Tyrone were in front. Pushed there by James McCarthy, the free taken by McGeary. Down here as far as Colm Kavanagh. They need to see more from him. That's wayward, very wayward. He's given it to Johnny Cooper. And Cooper plays it out as far as McMahon. And away they go through Kieran Kilkenny again in the 2018 All-Ireland final. Had an obvious pass to give, and now does so eventually to Brian Howard. Back it comes again as far as Kilkenny. Typical run across the field here to try and reset the attack. And coming in is McCaffrey at pace. Ran into the block of Matty Donnelly. Back out to McMahon. Beautifully inside here and held superbly by Paul Mannion. Immediately surrounded. Tierney McCann, one of those to dispossess him. They were looking for a free kick, Dublin fans, but the referee says play on. They do, getting it out as far as Conor Myler. Myler foul, free kick.
Yeah, and a crucial stage for Tyrone. They're really starting to struggle. Dublin are up in the ante the last couple of minutes. The likes of Paul Mannion, Kieran Kilkenny and Jack McCaffrey are turning on their style.
McGeary now trying to turn on the style for Tyrone, has Rory Brennan there to assist. His brother, of course, Lee, in the subs, might well make an appearance later on, possibly for Mark Bradley here. Very similar types of players. Here's Matty Donnelly. 7th season playing for Tyrone, given the captaincy when Sean Kavanagh retired. Ronan McNamee, important now that Tyrone try to get the next score for their own confidence. They're 5 adrift. It's Michael McCurdy who'd scored a brilliant point like that against Dublin before half-time in Omagh, but not here.
Yeah, poor option.
The wide's mounting up.
Yeah, 8 out wide tells a story, but a very poor option for Michael Kieran. Wrong side for a right-footed kicker. And Dublin, at the way they're playing at the minute, they need to be more composed and try not give away any more scores.
And now they're finding gaps in that Tyrone defence. Kilkenny. Mannion is on his way. Kilkenny holds, kicks high. Has he got it though? I don't think so.
Just pulled to the left and narrowly wide. But Kieran Kilkenny, Conor Callan, Paul Mannion, they're all so direct. And that's what Tyrone are starting to struggle with. They're putting so much pressure out the field that they can't get back. They're creating one-on-one opportunities, Dublin, in their own forward line, and Tyrone are struggling to deal with it.
Well, they've won this kick out, and it's Colm Kavanagh again now. Switch of formations really in the last couple of matches by Tyrone, still adjusting to the way in which they're trying to become a more offensive team. Peter Hart has certainly started this match on a high in there in that half-forward line, as it were. Giving it out here to Myler, slipping it in, but it's too far. McCalliskey does well, did really well. Johnny Cooper came out after, so too did McMahon, and down with McCalliskey, but there's no free kick given. Who got the last touch? Well, the last touch went off Myler.
Yeah, great play by Dublin again. Waited for him to pick up the ball, knew that the line was going to mark him out, and Johnny Cooper, great pressure.
4 minutes to go to half-time. Brian Fenton. Here comes Kieran Kilkenny. Looking now to try and dominate this game, where they started very unsure of themselves and very uncertain, and it was Tyrone who dominated the opening quarter of an hour, really. Had a couple of bad misses and then settled in and got some decent scores. But those goals have certainly rocked Tyrone. Scully. Back to Mannion. Once again, as they did last year in the semi-final, they're using width and they're opening it out here, and Tyrone are having to chase around after them and use up valuable energy. Here's the first touch for Michael Fitzsimons. Into Jack McCaffrey. Road in there blocked, so he has to turn it back again to Dean Rock. Now John Small. After him goes Cathal McShane. Nice transfer as far as Kieran Kilkenny again. Looking to try and make some inroads here. Fitzsimons, only just on the field a little while, wriggling his way in and out, gives it off to Dean Rock, and it ends with a lovely point. Such patience, such persistence, but such great football as well, played by Dublin.
Yeah, brilliant play, but Michael McKiernan and Conor Callan is struggling badly, and the more this game goes on, Tiernan McCann cannot keep up with Kieran Kilkenny, and Mickey Hart needs to make changes.
Well, this was the goal that was scored by Niall Scully after 28 minutes. Nearly 5 minutes ago, and now it's 2-6 to 6 points. What a year he is having.
That man Niall Scully always creeps up for the goals.
Well, he's got 3 this season so far. He's not the highest scorer by any manner of means, but his work rate is immense, and you wouldn't leave him out of the team for the very simple reason that he's one of those players you don't always notice what he's doing, but he's back there, he's foraging, he's trying, and he's working hard.
Yeah, brilliant player. And plays to the system, keeps the width. But Tyrone really need to get to grips with Conor Callan in the full forward line.
We just saw Cormac Costello there having words with Jim Gavin. Well, if he comes on, he's always good for 3 or 4, you know. Haven't reached half-time yet. Dublin leading at the moment by double scores. Niall Morgan summing up what's on. The first attempt was to try and get it out to McGeary, but he's going to bypass him now and go long to Colm Kavanagh, having a battle there with Fenton, and Fenton got the fingers tipped to it and touched it down to James McCarthy, combining well in the middle of the park. Paul Mannion ready to take off and try and go past Paudie Hampsey. Oh, he's got such pace. He's still going, and Hampsey reached in and saved it from going behind. That's brilliantly done. Superb defence by Paudie Hampsey. Back out as far as Matty Donnelly. Well, it just shows the determination, the discipline, the skill and the football this Tyrone team possesses. Back into Peter Hart. Touchdown as far as Matty Donnelly now. Ready to try and take on Kieran Kilkenny. To another Kieran McGeary kicking it. He's always good for a score or two, but not today. They've missed too many. They've kicked 9 wides.
Yeah, and that's the concern coming into today's game. Have the marquee forwards to win in All-Ireland, and 9 wides in the first half is a very disappointing return.
They've created 13 chances. Dublin have created 15 chances. There's going to be 4 minutes of added time at the end of the opening 35. So plenty of football still to be played before the break. Kilkenny. All the way back here as far as Michael Fitzsimon. Into Johnny Cooper. Man of the match against Tyrone last month when they met in the Super 8s up in Oma. Jack McCaffrey, man of the match last year when they played here against Tyrone in the semi-final, and he hasn't finished. Scored earlier on.
But what a run, Jack McCaffrey. He's electric when he gets the ball. But Tyrone are struggling. Their game plan is failing at the minute. Up front, I think the real problems are they can't hold on to possession right now, and the kickouts are not working either.
Well, this one has certainly gone out over the sideline in spite of the best attempts of Kieran McGeary to try and keep it in. And Mickey Hart must be wondering what he can do. Well, he's got the half-time break coming up in about 3.5 minutes' time to assess things. Goalkeepers are so important, those restarts. Taken in by Ronan McNamee, the Ahiaran player. Out to Conor Myler. Myler's work rate is always very good. This time held off by Brian Fenton. Fenton still going after him, and Fenton, with the help there of Johnny Cooper, wins it back. And all of a sudden there's a platform for the star attackers to try and show what they can do, and it's Con O'Callaghan to try and add to the scoring, and taken down by Colm Kavanagh, edge of the D, and the referee is taking the notebook out.
Yeah, another turnover. Brian Fenton, great play, but Colm Kavanagh might be lucky to get away with a black card here. Again, Con O'Callaghan so direct with his running. He's so hard to manage. And
well, I think Colm Kavanagh just got a noting, as it were. I didn't see any card being flashed in his direction, so he's lucky. And there's another free kick coming up, and it'll be Dean Rock to try and get his 5th of the match.
And half-time can't come quick enough for Mickey Hart to get his players into the dressing room, address some of the issues.
And we'll also be looking at his subs bench to see is there anything there. He's got the likes of Harry Loughran to come in, Declan McClure as well, Lee Brennan I mentioned earlier. I was surprised if we don't see them. Dean Rock taking maximum care over this. Every kick so important, every point so vital. He's got a 5th.
And started the game off 5 points to 1 to Tyrone, and all of a sudden it's 2-7 to 6 points to Tyrone. So 1 point in 20 minutes is a serious problem.
Jim Gavin's team have worked out for themselves exactly what they had to do. They've now limited Tyrone to a blank for the last 14 minutes. And Tyrone need to get a score before half-time. And that kick out straight to Billy McMahon gives it away. The referee's bringing the play back, however. There was no advantage.
He's actually given him the mark. Even though Philly held it for a split second, he's very lucky in that instance.
Well, he's got it. And now it's Con O'Callaghan who's got it. Quick and direct as usual, giving it to Kieran Kilkenny. Kilkenny deciding, I'll have a go. That's not going to go near the goal, however, but it's still dangerous. And the referee again blows his whistle, and this time decides there's a foul by Paul Mannion. And there's a Dublin player on the ground, by the way, up at the other end of the field. It's John Small, I think, who's down. Edge of the D. Doctor and physio in again to attend to him. And referee Conor Lane making his way down. Not sure what happened to the injured player. Let's see. John Small is number 5. He's right just there by the D. Oh, there he is. Down he went. Now, was he struck? Well, every indication is that he was struck.
Look, he raised his hand. I don't think there was much intent in it, but he did raise his hand, and that's the worry now. Conor Lane has a decision to make.
Now, the referee has had a quick word with his 2 umpires. The man who's marking Johnny Cooper at the moment, as you can see, is Peter Hart. John Small still requiring attention. The referee is telling them all to go away, so no indications immediately that he's going to speak to anybody on the Tyrone side.
Yeah, and it's a very worrying time. Peter Hart, look, he raised the arm, but at the same time I don't think there was much intent in it, and by raising your arm you leave yourself in jeopardy of getting the card.
Well, the 4 minutes has now been played, as you can see. John Small is okay, and the referee indicating that play is going to continue with a kick out, a free in fact, at the other end. Niall Morgan on a ground where he scored 5 points against Dublin in the 2013 All-Ireland National League final. Bobby Hampsey in as far as Mac Shea, trying to turn this way and that, now showing a bit of acceleration. Dublin track him, really good play by O'Callaghan to stay with him, won back by Philly McMahon, kicked out neatly to Dean Rock, and then away comes Brian Howard from Raheny. Thought about switching it away to the right hand side, looks up, there's one player ahead of him, and that's enough. Up as far as Owen Merchant, the 21-year-old from Nafiana. Gives it off inside to Howard again, two youngsters. Howard surely one of the great finds of this year for Dublin. Merchant as well, one of the under-21 stars from last year. Well, they're just playing keep ball here now, waiting for the referee's whistle to sound, and there it is, the end of the opening half, where Dublin go in leading at the break. They've got 7 points of a lead at this stage. Mickey Hart will have been happy enough with the opening 21. They led at that stage, but then Paul Mannion converted a penalty on 21 minutes, and Niall Scully got a second for Dublin some 7 minutes later. Dublin are very much in the driving seat in the 2018 All-Ireland football final. Mickey Hart and his team staying behind. They'll go off as the second team. They've a lot to do. Half-time score, it's Dublin 2-7, Tyrone 6 points. In a moment, we'll be back.
So, we have reached the halfway point in the 2018 All-Ireland football final, and as it stands, it is Dublin who have the advantage. They lead Tyrone by 2 goals and 7 points to 6 points. By the way, watch out in a little while for our latest Sunday game competition, because you could be heading off on your holidays with a big wallet of money. Colin Moore, we saw an unusual thing just at the half-time whistle there. The Tyrone team stayed out on the pitch. Mickey Hart gathered them around him, and we were, you know, I mean, I wasn't...
I'd say probably it was the first decade of the rosary that started there, because the team now is shell-shocked after what went on. Like, for 17 or 18 minutes, this was brilliant stuff by Tyrone. They attacked, they went 5 points to 1 up. They looked like a team that, you know, had all the answers. And then it's as if somebody really put their hand in the lion's mouth, and Dublin responded like true champions, and 2-6 to a point for the remainder. And the game is probably over now at this stage, but what we saw was Dublin greatness under pressure. When they were forced to really play, they did play. They just dismantled the Tyrone kick out. There was a bad McShane wide up at one side of the field. It came down till Kenny got a point, then a bad Morgan kick out. It led to the penalty and a goal, and since that he's been in trouble with his kickouts. Dublin completely overrunning Tyrone.
I understand, by the way, lads, that Tyrone were instructed to stay out on the field so the two teams wouldn't clash in. But I tell you, the clashes on the field, Desi said in the commentary there, the half-time can't come quick enough for Tyrone.
It can't, because first of all, can I say, it's been an enjoyable first half of football, and credit to Tyrone, they turned up and they tried to make a game for it, and they went for it, and they got their matchups right. Tiernan McCann and Kieran Kilkenny for the first 17 minutes, never touched the ball. Peter Hart working Keane O'Sullivan, brilliant. And they played an attacking game, they went for it, they went 5-1 up. But you know, and this is the great thing about champions, this is what we say about Dublin all the time, this composure and decision making. They don't do panic, they settle down, figured it out, and then they went full throttle. And you know, like Colm said, 2-6 to 1 point for the second quarter. But you know, the game is in inches. It can sometimes be decided in inches. In the space of 3 minutes, 3 bad kick-outs lead to 1 goal and 2 points. Game over. The second thing is what I highlighted at the start is forward play. At the start of the, at half-time, Tyrone forwards have scored 3 points on play. They've converted 6 out of 14 chances. That's not good enough. 9 wide, 22 minutes without a score. But Dublin in the last quarter were ruthless, absolutely ruthless and brilliant.
Yeah. They're ruthless, brilliant, and Colin thinks the game is over.
Oh, the game's over. I mean, the situation was, I read it, that Dublin were meandering in the first 14, 15 minutes. They weren't really getting it, and I thought that possibly for the first time, a team affected by all the hype. You know, Tyrone 12-1 to win. 4 in a row of formality, no issue around
I said that to you during the first half, Colin. I said Dublin look a bit scattered here.
Yes, but once they started, they're so ruthless then.
Panic.
And I think that, you know, the pounce on the kick out.
Yeah.
And the beauty of that was that Dublin were gambling on winning that kick out because Con O'Callaghan held his ground. He was there with his hands up. The ball's through to him now. The goal's on. But the way the penalty was dispatched, it was like saying to Tyrone, boys, I know you've enjoyed this period of fun. But the fun and games are over. And then to marvel at Dublin's individual skills, I tell you, I hope they've clipped up a point I asked them. I think it's the best point I've ever seen in Croke Park on All-Ireland Finals Day. Tyrone did absolutely nothing wrong for Dublin's second last point, and yet they managed to score it. And their efficiency, their ruthlessness, their individual skills. I asked you this question: how did this team never go out and pulverise Mayo? I tell you, Mayo must be a hell of a team to be able to live with that the way they did.
All right, we have another break coming up in a moment, but programme, a reminder of the half-time scoreline. Dublin leading Tyrone by 2 goals and 7 points to 6 points. And a big hello, of course, to all the people watching all around the world our All-Ireland final today, and especially for the personal message from all the guys in Muddy Murphy's in Singapore. Thank you very much. Hope you're enjoying the match. Let's get back to the match. You guys were making much comment before the break about the Tyrone kickouts and how Dublin were, if you like, intercepting them and all that. And that has been central to the whole thing.
For the first 17 minutes, he was impeccable with his kickouts. Then, in the space of 2 minutes, he self-destructed a scuffed kick-out that goes straight to Con O'Callaghan, laid it on, and the penalty. So that's a goal out of that. Immediately after that, another kick-out. Dublin win the ball, go up and score.
The thing about the Dubs is they're so clever. In the first 2 kickouts, they went man-to-man and Tyrone won them. They then immediately converted to zonal press. And since then, Morgan's been under huge pressure.
Number 3.
A young man who's had the jitters before, and Dublin take full of it. They're so ruthless. Once they get a wee roll on them, that was the game over. And what's striking to see at close hand is their pace, their individual versatility, their skills, the way they roll out of tackles, and the way their heads are up all the time. It's so hard to play against.
How unselfish they are on the ball. They're always giving the ball to a better position. And just they highlighted Dean Rock there. I mean, Dean Rock is often recognised as just a free taker. Last year in the All-Ireland final, he got 4 points on play. Today, he's got 3 points on play. And some of those points on play were from really different angles.
And this was after him missing 2 relatively easy frees for him. But I think what has happened in the second part of that half is all the big Dublin players have turned up. Fenton, O'Callaghan, Dean Rock. I think putting Tiernan McCann on Kieran Kilkenny is now seen to be a mistake because Kilkenny is beginning to get into the game and McCann is lost as an attacking force for Tyrone. So I think Tyrone need to do a few changes, but the whole tide now has switched irrevocably.
I want to ask you guys about a couple of incidents that happened in the first half there, Joe. The John Small incident being one of them. I was talking to the panel about this. I don't think you've got any conclusive outcome on this.
It doesn't look good, but I was just finishing the point that one of the great joys of watching the Dubs is their ability to kick pass over distance. And we've seen that to great effect.
But in this incident here, John Small shouldn't have laid down. He shouldn't have been down. It's harmless what has happened. And he should be a bit more manly.
Let's look. We'll be accused of being favourable to one and not turning a blind eye to another. Let's call a spade a spade. His hand connected with Small's face. It's a striking action. In the book, it's a sending off of
face. It doesn't look like a striking action.
It's a striking action into the face.
Pat, I hope you're not going to be infected by the disease of balance.
I'm just making the point that in strictly according to the rules, that's a sending off.
And I suppose we were also making the point about Colin Kavanagh, who might consider himself lucky not to have got a black card there.
Very fortunate, and Colin Kavanagh started the game off well, but again, like all the Tyrone players now, he's suffering under this intense pressure because you made the point, Dublin looked scattered, I think the word you used early on. They looked a bit leggy, and I was beginning to think for a while, have they lost their edge? And they looked a bit leg weary, and then as if somebody just turned the switch and everything happened, the likes of Howard and Fenton and all that hard running and the level of fitness and athleticism and sheer skill under pressure in doing the right thing with the ball has been incredible.
But you know, it's the electric pace all of a sudden and their movement off the ball. I mean, I was talking to Sean Kavanagh about it this outside, and he was saying, like, we were talking about the lack of Tyrone's attacking chemistry here today. because they've only converted to this 3 weeks ago. Talking about his team, Brian McGuigan, Peter Canavan, Mulligan. I mean, they were playing since they were minors. They're coming off the shoulder. They know the second pass, the third pass.
But to see
everything's cohesive. With Tyrone today, they're entirely disjointed. They've waited a year too late to change tactics. They should have changed tactics.
But with Dublin, Michael, there in their attack, there's so much variety to that. They can kick pass long, their movement on and off the ball, their angles of running, their support play, their decision making. They just tick so many boxes. I mean,
brilliant to watch.
We're looking at a class
and that's
team.
before McManaman and Costello and Flynn appear.
We're looking at a class team.
All right, lads, thanks for that. Let's see what happens in the second half then. Let's go back to the commentary box to rejoin Ger Canning and Desi Dolan.
Thank you very much indeed, Michael. Yeah, we don't see any more changes being made by either team. I can tell you, by the way, it's a full house, which means over 82,000 people, as in the hurling final, full house today. It's very, very warm down on the field. Should emphasise that. It's about 23 to 24 degrees. Conor Lane ready to restart the second half. Clearly, he didn't have any view of that foul there, which looked a foul, certainly on the part of Peter Hart, when he was aiming his arm towards John Small, shall we say. Second half gets underway, 7 between them. Tyrone, like they did in the first half, looking to try and get away to a good start here. Tiernan McCann held on to just about there. And eventually, Conor Myler wins the free kick and away quickly to Tiernan McCann. They haven't scored since the 23rd minute of the first half. They need something special. They get it right from the very beginning here. And it's once again Conor McAlliskey who gets it, his third of the match.
Yeah, great play. Tiernan McCann driving up the pitch, laying it off. And Conor McAlliskey, if you give him that kind of space, he'll take points all day. One concern for Tyrone is Colm Kavanagh looks to be carrying a leg injury.
And he is such an important player for them, usually playing in and around the D there. Out he comes now, as you can see, to challenge Brian Howard. Howard lost him completely. Next challenge is against Tiernan McCann. He held on too long. Free kick.
Yeah, great pressure there. Colm Kavanagh coming out, Tiernan McCann getting around him, and Tyrone will gain a lot of confidence from that.
Well, it's a Tyrone team that went from the 2 sweepers and everybody back, and they're trying something different. And was mentioned at the break by Pat Spillane. They got their matchups right in the opening 20 minutes, certainly. Now you're trying to make a match of this one. 6 adrift. Held on to by Mark Bradley.
It's a line ball.
Calls us, and that is a line ball.
Yeah, David Goff called it back for a line ball.
Linesman today, David Goff and Paddy Nealon on the other flank. McAlliskey booting it in. Probing ball inside here. One well. Rory Brennan playing it back as far as Conor Myler. Chance for McGeary. And he pops it over the bar. 2 in a row. Good start to the second half by Tyrone. Where it was 7, it's now back down to just 5.
Yeah, very well worked score there. Good patience for Tyrone, and they need to keep this push on. A couple of early scores and the outlook might change.
They finished very strongly, as you might remember, in Omagh 4 weeks ago. Got it back to within 2 points, then had a free kick which Ronan O'Neill missed rather badly. Here comes Kieran Kilkenny. Coming forward, Brian Howard. Lovely transfer, nice movement. Also confident, really good moves. Dean Rock taking Ronan McNamee with him, back to Howard again. Drops in front of Brian Fenton, ready to spin, ready to strike and score.
So patient from this Dublin team, and Brian Fenton, as he done so many times this year, popping up the right place with a fantastic finish. And the one thing that this Dublin team do, they're hugging the sidelines all the time, creating holes in that Tyrone defence.
That point just epitomises the kind of skill and the kind of patience and great footballing craft that is present in Jim Gallen's team. John Small in there trying to win that one with Peter Hart. They're having quite a duel, the two of them. Hart taking it. Kieran McGeary already scored. On to McShane, another one of their scorers. Back to McGeary, promising. In came Jack McCaffrey, down went McGeary. Referee says play on. Dublin trying to win it back. Ball loose, McCaffrey eventually picking it up. After him goes Mark Bradley.
It was a great opportunity from Kieran McGeary to knock it over the bar. Looking for the free, didn't give it. The referee, Conor Lane, didn't give it in that instance, and Dublin drive out again.
Their decision-making has to be absolutely right in this second half, Tyrone, if they're to seriously challenge the champions of the last 3 years. Bidding for 4 in a row today. There's a Dublin player on the ground right now as play continues. Owen Merchant down, receiving attention. Meanwhile, Brian Howard kicks it across here to Paul Mannion. Back in as far as Niall Scully, one of the goal scorers. Brian Howard now hasn't scored so far, fancying his chances, getting a point in the All-Ireland football final. Young Brian Howard is 20 years of age, a DIT student.
What an impact this guy has made this year in the championship. Kicked a couple of points in Oma. Great point there. And you see Owen Merchant, he comes down the ball and Niall Scully comes over him. He's lucky in a way, Owen Merchant.
Yeah, he is.
He's holding his leg.
He is. That would have been a black card.
Yeah, black card there.
Had it been spotted. Well, Tyrone got 2 points, Dublin have got 2 points, and now in comes Lee Brennan. And the player going off is going to be Conor Myler. Well, Conor Myler only recently recovered from injury. They got 39 minutes out of him anyway. Now Lee Brennan, once this game opens up, if he can get decent possession, he can threaten. Very, very good left boot. Merchant okay, as you can see, everybody fit and raring to go. Opening 5 minutes of the second half, still 7 points the margin. James McCarthy touching it down, but in doing so knocking it out of play. It'll be a Tyrone line ball, and it'll be Cathal McShane who will take it. Back to Tiernan McCann. Colm Kavanagh needing to exert a bigger, much bigger influence on the match. Now a quick change of direction, he's found space, trying to get free, but held on to it. Then Rory Brennan takes it on to Niall Slodden. Slodden kicking for 45 metres out. But the cheers are Dublin cheers, because it's missed 10th wide by Tyrone.
Yeah, and Owen Merchant has marked him up in Oma, kept him scoreless. Today Niall Slodden is not making the impact we'd expect. He scored 3 goals and 13 points in the championship up to now, but struggling today.
Cluxton's kick across here, beautifully held onto by Brian Howard. He's got great hands, brilliant vision as well to pick out Brian Fenton, who's got a player in support here. Onto it comes Philly McMahon, then the challenges, good block down. Won well by Paddy Hampsey, the Coal Island player. Really good work, because there was a point there for the taking for Dublin. Tyrone countering, Peter Hart trying to get by John Small. Small goes back at him. Once again it's Peter Hart, and it's going to be a free in this time. So an opportunity to chip 1 point back, and straight away taking over the free taking duties is going to be Lee Brennan. This is what happened.
Kept the arm in. Look, not much in it, but at the same time probably a free. But great play by Brian Howard. Kicked a nice point a couple of moments ago. Just shows you his range of skills for his first championship.
And this time the referee issuing a yellow card. It's to John Small. So the 2 number 5s have been yellow carded by the match referee. Free coming up, Lee Brennan to take. 43 metres or thereabouts from the target. Now can he put it over? Catches it well. He's got it. Good start by Lee Brennan with his free taking.
Yeah, of course in Ballybofey the substitutions came on, scored 2-5. They need to do something similar today, but a very good start to the match by Lee Brennan.
Well, he's the player who's put up some amazing scores in the last 12 months at club level. But this is so different. Stephen Cluxton.
And that man Stephen Cluxton, his kickouts 13 out of 16 have been converted, and Niall Morgan on the other hand seems to be going along an awful lot today.
Johnny Cooper starting off the next attack with James McCarthy flying forward, bypassing Kavanagh completely, flicked it out to the wing. Kavanagh remained centrally positioned. Back to Kilkenny. They're just moving around the settled Tyrone defence. They were looking for a free kick with John Small down, but the referee says play on, you have the ball for goodness sake. In comes Scully. Having to go back again. Well, the Tyrone defence in position as you expect, and that time it's a poor ball, very poor ball. Mistake that time by Brian Howard allows Tyrone to counter, and Cathal McShane kicking it up to Lee Brennan. About to be challenged by Owen Merchant, but Merchant can't get close enough to him. Hanging in the air for the goalkeeper to be able to take. And Michael Fitzsimons sweeps it down to James McCarthy again. Dublin continuing to lead by 2 goals here. All the way back from John Small. Johnny Cooper now. An automatic choice for Dublin over the last couple of years. To Con O'Callaghan. So important. Here's Kilkenny. Cracking it with the right. Following through brilliantly and putting it over. His second, 1 in each half.
Yeah, that came from a very poor kick by Lee Brennan. Should have laid it off to somebody. But Kieran Kilkenny, on the other hand, is getting the better of Tiernan McCann. And they're so quick, they're relentless, these forwards. The pressure they're putting on the Tyrone team at the minute.
Tyrone trying to eat into the 7-point lead once again. It's Colm Kavanagh. That's a bad ball. Well, he was looking for McCalliskey in there, but only finding Philly McMahon. And it's an opportunity for Niall Scully now just to hold on his own 45-metre line. No great hurry on his part. Lots of pressure, however, on the part of Rory Brennan. Too much of it. Wasn't disciplined enough. Kieran Kilkenny picking himself up.
Yeah, and Kieran Kilkenny did well. Very strong in possession, holding on to it and won the free. But that's out in midfield. He's popping up everywhere at the minute.
We could have another change very shortly by Mickey Hart. Frank Burns about to come in. Jack Caffrey dispossessed. Really good work. Super play back there by Niall Sludden to win that, and he's got it again. Needs to take off now. Needs to dominate. Tiernan McCann. Matty Donnelly. All the way back to chase after him came Con O'Callaghan. Picking it up as Mark Bradley. And Bradley between the uprights for his own 2nd point of the match.
Yeah, what an interception by Niall Sludden. Brilliant play there, and that's what Tyrone need. Their leaders to stand up. The likes of Matty Donnelly, Peter Hart.
Going off, by the way, is going to be Niall Sludden. Wasn't his day. And Frank Burns comes on. Man who won an under-21 medal with Tyrone against Tiff 3 years ago. But he's got his chance now of playing in a senior All-Ireland final. Doesn't come around all that terribly often for most of the counties, as we know, only too well. Trying to make the most of the opportunity presented. And we're just 11 minutes into the 2nd half. And that's Johnny Cooper. Huge cheer from the fans. Going down there under the weight of that challenge was Kieran McGeary.
Jim Gavin would love to have a player like Johnny Cooper in his team. He's fearless, tenacious, tight, tough defender.
Well, he's a very, very difficult opponent, that's for sure. But so many of these are. Brian Fenton here. And the referee again brings this back, and there could be trouble here. And the referee having words with, I think it's Kieran McGeary. And he's been shown the black book, and he's off. Black card.
Yeah. Kieran McGeary, as soon as Brian Fenton played the ball off, he obstructed the run. Conor Lane was right on it and pulled it back for the free. You can see it there at the bottom of the screen. A very easy decision for Conor Lane.
So his day is finished here, and coming on is Harry Loughran. Real chase for possession, Paul Mannion. Oh, picks it up brilliantly, fleet-footed, beats 2 men to it. Crisply delivered, beautifully over the bar. So stylish. What a player this lad is. Brilliantly done. Wonderful finishers. So good.
Pádraig Campsey is the noted man marker, detailed to keep players quiet, but today Paul Mannion has been exceptional.
This time it's Colm Kavanagh trying to win it. Johnny Cooper was dashing in to try and get it. In the end, it's picked up here by Frank Burns. All the way forward as far as Cathal McShane. Burns wants it back. McShane fancies it himself. It comes off an upright and went over the bar.
And to their credit, Tyrone are fighting hard, trying to keep the scoreboard ticking over. And a very good point, his 2nd point for Cathal McShane.
Those 2 goals still separating the teams on the scoreboard. 2 vital goals in the first half, one from a penalty and one from Niall Scully as well. Harry Loughran, the one who comes in now to replace the player who's just got the black card, number 12, Kieran McGeary.
And Tyrone made 2 changes. See Niall Sludden going off earlier, scored 3-13 in the championship, and Conor McCalliskey, the noted 2:38 he has scored, so both of the top scorers have now left the pitch.
Philly McMahon. Down here as far as Johnny Cooper. Challenged by Hart. Hart goes again. This time it's McShane who stands his ground, carries it out with determination and spirit. Free kick quickly taken to Harry Loughran. Got a couple of goals in this year's championship, vital goals. How they could do it, one of those today. Up here to Bradley. Two men going out to him. Holds up the play, however. Gives it in here to Richie Donnelly, who's just come on. And Donnelly hits it with the outside of the boot and misses badly. It was set up perfectly for him.
That man, Mark Bradley, is doing particularly well inside if they can get ball into him. He's a very good option, but their shooting again has let them down today.
Johnny Cooper in trouble. They've had a number of players now requiring attention during the course of this match so far. Very physical. A lot of good football, however, being played as well. His team, 27 championship matches, unbeaten, remember. Big task for Mickey Hardy. Was saying beforehand, he describes the challenge of beating Dublin as a daunting one. Cooper okay. It'll take a more than a knock, I would imagine, to keep Johnny Cooper out of this final. He just relishes the challenge. Referee going in and having a word or two there. Speaking to Mark Bradley. Play continues, no cards. Kick out for Dublin. Stephen Cluxton about to take it, playing in his sixth final. 17th year, playing in goal for Dublin. Out to Merchant, his very first season. To Philly McMahon. And the Dublin choir in the stands in the crowd of 82,000 in full voice at this stage, cheering on John Small, who holds on. And there's a free man ahead of him, and it's Niall Scully, and he's well picked out. And the passes are precise. It's down to Rock. Transferred back in here to Kilkenny again. Once more, they will patiently work it around. McMahon wanted it, didn't get it. McCaffrey instead. Scully threading it over to Mick Fitzsimons to come on to. About to begin final year medical studies. Here's Brian Howard. Back again here to Con O'Callaghan. Hasn't had much rest over the last 12 months with the hurling with Cuala before all this, before coming back into the football with Dublin. Still only 22 years of age. Now trying to manage the game. Johnny Cooper. Absolute frustration now for Tyrone because they just can't get the football. Dublin are working hard just to move around, support one another. There are always options. And it's Scully again. I think third time he's been involved in this particular holding exercise. Back from Fenton. And now they can raid. And it's McCaffrey. Takes a lot to stop him. Scully. Little change of direction on the part of O'Callaghan. Scully again. Kilkenny. They've held the ball now for over a minute. Fenton. Can he finish off? He certainly can. His second of the day. Scoring in his fourth All-Ireland final in a row. Brian Fenton, the man who has never been on a losing Dublin championship team, makes it 2-12 to 11 points.
And what a score by Brian Fenton. Running this Tyrone team ragged. The possession held really well. And a brilliant finish there by Brian Fenton. And that's the one thing about this Dublin team. Now they can introduce the finishers.
And when Cormac Costello comes on, it doesn't get any easier for Tyrone, that's for sure. They held on to that one. Colm Kavanagh. Hampsey, former underage boxing star in Ulster. Getting this one forward. Richie Donnelly giving it back to Hart. They need a goal. Can he get it? Hart trying to break through here. And it's McShane, and McShane puts it wide after all that. Oh, the difference between the teams. Dublin, cohesive, lovely finishing. Tyrone working hard. Dreadful stuff at the end, and a 12th wide.
And Peter Hart obviously identified there was an opportunity to get a goal, held on to it too long, and the chance was wasted.
Here's Costello, first chance. He's third highest scorer, by the way, and he can't get in the starting 15. They're impossible to stop. Oh, the goalkeeper did well out for a 45. Niall Morgan denying Cormac Costello. Well, how about that for a way to announce your arrival in the 2018 final.
Yeah, so direct. He's such a direct running style. It's his game. Comes on when players are tired. And just off the bottom of the post. Great save by Niall Morgan.
Well, 1 goal and 31 points he's scored already, the 24-year-old from Whitehall, Columkills. And today, if Dublin win, Cormac Costello will be picking up his 4th All-Ireland medal. Think of the great Dublin team, or the great Kerry team, I should say, back in the 70s and 80s, and we hear of fellas getting 6, 7 and 8, like that, All-Ireland medals. And here we have some of these players here. Dean Rock about to win his 5th if it holds good for Dublin. Some team.
Brian Fenton 25, Niall Scully 24, Con is 22, Brian Howard this year 21, and that's what Jim Gavin has done. He's introduced a new talent all the time.
Dean Rock scored all his points in the first half, 5, 3 from play. That's his 6th. It's going very nicely for the Dubs. 2-13 to 11, they are leading ahead by 8.
And just on that, I'm saying Bernard Brogan didn't make the 26-man squad today. It just gives you an idea of the strength and depth. He did an awful lot of work to try to get back in. He came on as a blood sub in the Roscommon match, but there's no sentiment. Jim Gavin, he didn't make the squad today, and that just gives you an indication of how ruthless as a manager he is.
Well, it's utterly professional for amateur players, but doing the right thing as he sees it. I mean, which player would you have left out? That's Jack McCaffrey. Kilkenny is going to take the free kick. Con O'Callaghan, last year's big star, has a score today. Brian Howard has. He'll have another one. Almost going astray there. Michael McKernan chasing after him. Thankless task. They need to get the ball back. They need a bit of energy, but instead it's Dublin who are coming forward again, relentless and ruthless in their approach. McKernan, and then eventually it breaks loose to Paddy Hampsey. He's dragged back free to Tyrone. A moment's respite. Chance for them to get the ball forward. We're going to see Kevin McMenamin coming in a minute.
Not what you need if you're a Tyrone defender. They're just looking a little bit tired right now, this Tyrone team, and as Dublin introduced the subs, could get messy for them.
The cavalry arriving. Frank Burns. Here's Mark Bradley again. Taking on his man, who is Owen Merchant. Merchant staying with him, but he's lost him. I think Merchant has got a leg injury. He limped away after all of that. Didn't look 100% by any means. Matty Donnelly. There's no way through. Not immediately obvious anyway. A couple of runs being made. Con O'Callaghan just stays with Matty Donnelly. Keeps him at bay. Then the challenges come in. Then it was Fenton. Finally it's away by James McCarthy. And even the goalkeeper is coming forward. It's going to be a line ball which is taken quickly. It's like they had only a couple of minutes left to play. They have still quite a bit. 13 minutes of the 70 remaining. Richie Donnelly. Missed one earlier on when he was really in a very good position.
After throwing Colm Kavanagh right up to the full forward line. He's in on top of Billy McMahon, so maybe it's an option to go long.
Got to kick it in though, haven't you?
Absolutely.
Well, they're still hanging around the edges. Paddy Hampsey, surely now they have seen Colm Kavanagh in there. They're working it in, Hampsey. Steadying himself, and then he came across the legs of the Dublin defender. And down he went, free in. The defender in question there was Michael Fitzsimons.
Yeah, when I think of the Dublin team today, every player has done something. They played exceptionally well throughout the pitch. That's the one thing coming into a final you'd ask for your players. On the other hand, Tyrone will be disappointed with some of their players. Didn't perform to the level required.
There's Paul Mannion going off, Kevin McMenamin coming on. And also Darren Daly is coming into the match in place of Owen Merchant. I mentioned that he had an obvious injury.
Yeah, another outstanding performance by Owen Merchant again. There's a man picking up a lot of All-Ireland medals, coming in off the bench. Hasn't started too many games for Dublin, but another player that Jim Gavin goes to.
He's about to win his 6th.
It's not bad.
Owen Merchant about to win one as well, but he will have to see out the rest of the match from the substitutes bench. Free kick which Lee Brennan is preparing to take. Scored with his first. This should be routine because the first one was a good 40-something metres out. 2 from 2. Keeps the scoreboard ticking over. 2-13 to 12. So, as you were at half-time, a 7-point game.
Just not enough pressure on Stephen Cluxton's kick-out. He's getting them all away. He had 2 bad kick-outs early on in the game, but other than that, he's been flawless.
Moving forward menacingly now is Mick Fitzsimons. Ooh, that was a difficult one to contain. And I'm not sure how Kieran Kilkenny will thank Fitzsimons for that, but he held on to it before being fouled anyway. O'Callaghan sharply back here as far as Darren Daly. Very solid, assured defender. Jack McCaffrey, pacey. And this is Kevin McMenamin, who could be so explosive near to goal. Everyone remembers that goal back in the 2011 final. McCaffrey again. Ooh, missed that time by Dean Rock. Touched away from Ronan McNamee and retained. They've been absolutely masterful at times during this game. In fact, most of the time. Rory Brennan, that time McMenamin, deemed to have committed the offence. He's saying my jersey was being pulled. The referee didn't agree. Peter Hart. His team 7 behind.
And I mentioned already Colin Cavan is standing in the full forward line, but James McCarthy has gone back to Markham. Obviously better suited than Philly McMahon in the height department.
Well, he's not going to get the ball. Richie Donnelly looked up but didn't give it in, and in the end Jack McCaffrey came, stole it. There was a foul, and that again is just symptomatic of what's going wrong for Tyrone in this second half.
Jack McCaffrey's having an excellent match, brilliant season, but today he's been raining down the wings throughout the day, setting up attack after attack.
We thought they were in a bit of difficulty in the opening 20 minutes, but look at them now, flying. And here comes that man, Kevin McMenamin, trying to escape the clutches of 3 Tyrone defenders. He's won a free kick for Dublin, and that will do. Tough task for Declan McClure and the rest. McClure's dad, Harry McClure, played in the 1986 All-Ireland final for Tyrone against Kerry. And that was the challenge by Paddy Hampsey there.
A tough tackle on Johnny Cooper, but he's tough, he's physical. But there's just no stopping Kevin McMahon when he gets the ball. He's just so direct. He's pretty much unstoppable at this stage in the game.
We're going to see Ronan O'Neill come in. He will be the 6th and final change made by the Tyrone management. It's an awful shame we haven't seen him in a little bit earlier. I know he's one of those players that is so good in and around the goal area, the opposing goal area, and the ball needs to be going in there, and simply wasn't. Right now, the referee with some paperwork to do. Paddy Hampsey at the receiving end, and the referee explaining exactly why. And it should be another yellow card flashed in the direction of the Coal Island defender. Free to Dublin. It's going to be taken by Dean Rock. Rockwood, 6 points so far. Alive, alive, oh is the sound that you're hearing from all around the ground just as Ronan O'Neill comes in. Player who excelled here at minor level some years ago, and he comes in for Mark Bradley this time. Mark Bradley has scored twice. He got 2 of the 12 points. Dean Rock looking for his 7th. No great pressure on him this time, like there was last year against Mayo. But he has to deal with it anyway in front of the hill. His 7th, 2:14 to 12 points. Dublin on the way with about 7 minutes still to go of the 70.
2 goals and 41 points now for Dean Rock. Such a consistent performer for Dublin.
Well, he's all of that. Breaking away from his full-back position is Ronan McNamee. Challenged by Cooper. Going by Cooper, chipping it in. Looking for Ronan O'Neill, and that's not the ball to give him. Well, he hadn't a chance of getting that one, Ronan O'Neill.
No, poor ball, and Stephen Cluxton's ready for the reset already.
More change coming in. Eric Lowndes about to come in for Johnny Cooper.
Johnny shipped an awful lot of heavy tackles there in the throughout the match. It's such a tight, tenacious defender. I'd say Jim Gavin, one of the first names on the team sheet for Jim Gavin.
Any team would love to have him, and here comes Eric Lowndes right now. Bear in mind, they are doing this today in the absence of Diarmuid Connolly, Bernard Brogan. We haven't seen Paul Flynn. We've seen Johnny Cooper, who's getting a huge ovation, deafening ovation, and Eric Lowndes comes on in his stead. Short kick out, and Dublin managed to just hold it here with Fitzsimons, challenged strongly. He's going to go and have to win it back now from Peter Hart, and he fouls him. It's going to be a free in instead. Left for Ronan O'Neill. The referee says, come on, you're going to steal a yard here.
He hesitated for a second, and if you do that at this level, Peter Hart is in on top of him.
Frank Burns kicking it, an awkward angle, too awkward for Frank this time. He has scored some very good points in this year's championship. Bear in mind, this is the 10th match that Tyrone have played. They had to play 8 of those in 10 weeks.
Yeah, and the story of the match really is Tyrone's misses. 13 wides today tells the tale of the game. Very much in a good position after 15 minutes, but just not efficient enough up front.
Game last 70. Kilkenny. Players calling for it. Everybody in the Dublin ranks now looking so good, so fresh and so fit looking. That was McMenamin, but he was dispossessed by the hand of Harry Loughran. Nicely forward. Switched out by Ronan O'Neill. Can they finish well? Paddy Hampsey looks direct. Oh, is there a penalty? There is a penalty. A penalty for Tyrone because Colm Kavanagh was upended, and Philly McMahon is saying, hang on, that wasn't the case.
He looked like he was at sea, Philly there. High ball coming in, and you can see Philly McMahon. He pulls him back, and that's a definite penalty.
This happened last year in the semi-final, and it was the self-same Philly who conceded the penalty then as well.
Yeah, and we've been saying it a couple of minutes. Colm Kavanagh standing there. That's, for fairness to Pádraig Hampsey, that's the first good ball he has got. And now we have a penalty.
And Peter Hart, who's already got 2 penalties in this year's championship, he scored against Carlow, scored against Roscommon from the spot. He'll be back here in 2 weeks' time when his fiancée Anya Canavan is here for the final of the intermediates, and he scores. It breathes some new life into Tyrone's challenge with 4 minutes of the 70 to go, plus whatever stoppage time the referee adds on.
And there'll always be a few minutes stoppage time. I think right now they need to go Rue 1. Colm Kavanagh's in there. Dublin don't have a man with the height to mark him. We've seen throughout the year, like Tony Kingston against Laois, did very well with a high ball kicked in.
Michael Dara McCauley's come on. He's the last of the subs. He replaces Dean Rock. Timely reminder to Dublin not to take anything for granted, even when you have a handsome lead. It's down to 5 points right now. 3 minutes to go, but you never know how many minutes the referee may add on. The last time Conor Lane was refereeing an All-Ireland final here, I think he added on 7 or 8 minutes. Stephen Cloxton out this time to Darren Daly, put under pressure, fierce pressure.
Yeah, and that's the second time that's happened.
Declan McClure came in with a challenge. McClure racing back to get the football now. They realise they have just half a chance. Peter Hart back from Burns. Hart trying to measure it. Inside towards Kavanagh again. Dropped inside but regained by Richie Donnelly. Tried to get by. Final kick is a wayward one, a bad miss. Well, that was a really good opportunity to put that one over by Lee Brennan. Hit it with the right, not his best.
Yeah, another high ball in there, well won by Richard Donnelly. Laid it out, a good opportunity wasted.
Well, Dublin now will try and become this match and try and take the ball downfield, keep it away from Tyrone hands, maybe try and get the next score. Down to Costello, ready to take on Rory Brennan. Costello, such pace. Going in towards a blind alley here, however, still in play. Plays it back. And that shot has gone. It's still in play. It was going left anyway. Away from the boot of Niall Morgan. Down to Peter Hart. Tyrone hoping there may be sufficient time still. 2 men against him. Jack McCaffrey, one of them, putting in their hand to try and dispossess, helped out by Brian Howard, and the referee gives the free kick to Tyrone.
Yeah, and he's lucky to get it. He was going nowhere. Jack McCaffrey done extremely well, put the pressure on, and Conor Lane decided it was a free.
15 wides by his team against just 6 and none in the second half by Dublin. That's the tale. This is Ronan O'Neill, back to Hampsey. O'Neill again, little block on it, and it's taken under control well by Conor Callaghan and played out to Michael Darragh Macaulay for the Dubs. And away they go. Tyrone were putting everything into that last attack. They're a little bit wide and lacking support at the back right now. Vulnerable. Costello kicking. That moves in, but it's stopped on the goal line by Niall Morgan. We're in the 70th minute of the All-Ireland football final. Frank Burns back once again to Morgan. He's decided to heck with goalkeeping. I fancy being in the middle of the field. Up once again towards Colm Kavanagh. Touch back down. Peter Hart has got a free kick, and it's going to be a free in and an almost certain point for Tyrone. And there are going to be 7 minutes of additional time. This final is not over yet.
Yeah, it's obvious. Great ball in by Niall Morgan. That tactic is working well. A lot of messing going on right now up front. But Tyrone and Peter Hart need to be composed, knock the ball over the bar and ask the question.
John Small has been yellow carded already. A second one for him, a red. And once again, John Small gets sent off. It happened last year, and it happened in the Leinster final as well. He's abrasive, he plays on the edge. This time, he's got the yellow card, and that was the challenge that came in over the back of Peter Hart. So a red card, and Dublin are down to 14.
Yeah, an opportunity for Lee Brennan, knock this over the bar. Plenty of time left.
It's John Small that got the red card, by the way, not Philly McMahon, John Small. Lee Brennan kicking it over. His third. But more importantly now, with 1 minute of the additional time played, it's a 4-point game.
And that man Stephen Cluxton to that man Brian Fenton at a crucial time in the game.
Fenton moving forward, kicking it smartly down. Kevin McMenamin, again, Tyrone are open. The challenge about to come in, and he's finished splendidly. McMenamin kicks it over the bar. Always comes up trumps in an All-Ireland final, it appears. 2 minutes into stoppage time, and once again, this is a 5-point game with Dublin the leaders. Matty Donnelly hasn't scored today. The Tyrone team captain, trying to round Brian Fenton. He's got a chance, still going. Chasing after McCaffrey, no slouch, gives it back to Ronan O'Neill. Clipping it across here, that's an impossible one. Very, very difficult ball to give to Michael McKernan. Oh, what an option to take at that stage.
Yeah, poor play by Ronan O'Neill. There was men everywhere. There was an opportunity just to knock the ball over the bar. Regroup.
16 wides by Tyrone in this match. They've created a total of 29 opportunities against Dublin's 31.
Yeah, and fair play to Tyrone. They stuck at the task, despite the fact of all them misses. Very honest effort today.
Cluxton to kick this one out. Another 4.5 minutes left to play. Jack McCaffrey, challenged by Donnelly, keeps his composure. Fitzsimons and the Dublin fans in this bumper crowd here in full voice right now, trying to sing and to cheer their team home for the 4 in a row, done by Wexford way back along 100 years ago, in fact. So what an achievement that would be, done by Kerry twice. This time it's Conor Callaghan. Mick Fitzsimons then getting into some difficulty and vigorously challenged by Frank Burns, but the referee has blown his whistle.
Brian Fenton, exceptional today. Con O'Callaghan, Kieran Kilkenny. So many leaders in this Dublin team. At such a young age, they seem to get better.
Well, there's so much left in this team, you would feel. Cormac Costello, Rory Brennan trying to win the ball back. That's gone out of play. But time running away for Tyrone, and Dublin getting a fair old challenge at times in the second half. Cian O'Sullivan having to watch on, nothing he can do about it. Michael McKernan knocking it across to his goalkeeper, Niall Morgan. They need another goal. Got about another 3 minutes. Frank Burns. Finally, Matty Donnelly saying, let's have a go, let's lock it in there, let's see what happens. And it travels all the way over the bar.
Great point. He's probably knocked it into Colm Kavanagh, but 60 yards out. Just knocks over the bar. Great score.
There's still life there. 2:15 to 1:14. To their credit, Tyrone have done their level best to make a real match of this up against one of the great teams. Michael Dara McCauley scampering away, down to Brian Fenton, the score of 2 points already in this match. Cormac Costello. Well, he hasn't scored since he came in. Into Kieran Kilkenny, his shorts being pulled back that time. And Kilkenny kicks, and the referee says that's okay. Put the flag up, and it's a third point for Kieran Kilkenny. No way was he going to be stopped.
2 goals and 24 points, all from play. An incredible return for a forward of his quality.
Matty Donnelly. Well, people were saying this was going to be a blowout like last year, 12 points between them, but we had a very spirited performance with a lot of very good football, with some great scores as well, some awful misses. Well, that's all part of the mix, I guess. Down here to Kevin McMenamin, having scored once, tried to dart inside. They try to keep him outside. McKernan then putting in the challenge. Just about a minute still remaining of the 7 indicated by the match referee. Tyrone looking weary and really down at this stage. Can't blame them. 5 points behind. It's not going to happen for them. Play continues, and Ronan McNamee against the 14 Dubs who are out on the field still. Come on, you boys in blue, they are singing. And Declan McClure knocks it down towards Colm Kavanagh, and taking it brilliantly. Oh, superb by Brian Howard. He played under 21 as a centre half back. Plays everywhere and anywhere with the senior team. Brian Fenton now. Cormac Costello, the Whitehall Colmkills man. Dublin about to win another. Michael Dara McCauley taking it in. Past Hampsey and fisting it over the bar. Well, the record would show that he has scored in the All-Ireland final as well, and it's all over. And Dublin once again reigns supreme. All-Ireland champions for 2018 and winners of 4 in a row. What an achievement for Jim Gavin there and all of his backroom team. They are the 3rd county and the 4th team to win 4 titles in succession. Unbeaten as well for 28 matches. Mickey Hart goes across, offers his wishes, his good wishes. So many star players out there for Dublin. Tyrone gave it their best shot, but defeated Mickey Hart's lot once again this time. Some performance by Dublin. It wasn't the game that we were anticipating. In fact, it was an awful lot better, Desi.
Yeah, very enjoyable match, and what a team this Dublin team. 4 in a row. Incredible.
Just to give the final score. Dublin 217, Tyrone 114.
But like, if the likes of Con O'Callaghan, so young, 22 years of age. I thought Brian Howard was immense today. Brian Fenton in midfield, 25. This team are getting stronger as they go on. Jim Gavin is introducing new players all the time, like Owen Merkin, and this year's Brian Howard. But they're an incredible team, so well led by the likes of Kieran Kilkenny and Dean Rock up front. But Dublin can be proud all over the pitch. They had superstars today. Jack McCaffrey as well, excellent.
And there's the number 27. He didn't get on, of course, Bernard Brogan. And Jim Gavin goes across to every one of his players, even the man who was sent off there, John Small, on 2 yellow cards. And the youngster, Brian Howard from Raheny. The day belongs to the Dubs, superbly managed by Jim, superbly coached by his backroom team, and cheered to the rafters by these thousands and thousands of Dublin fans. But essentially, it's a day for the marvellous squad of players. They appreciate it, and I'm sure Tyrone fans as well appreciate what a good match it had turned out to be. It looked like going way, way from their team, but they came back strongly. Let's go down and get some comment. Let's join Joanne Cantwell.
James McCarthy, congratulations. Number 4 in a row. Does it feel as sweet?
Incredible, especially after a massive battle like that. Lost for words, especially.
But it is for you, 4 in a row. So is there a difference in feeling when you've made history as opposed to the last time?
Look, it is incredible. We'll sit down the next 5-6 days and we're dwelling it, but we're just so happy, so happy.
Is that what happens, that you're caught up in the moment, you don't get a chance to savour when you're making history?
We're such a tight group. We've been playing together for 8, 9 years, 10 years now, and we do everything together. We train hard together, we go socialise together, we're best friends, we go to weddings, we have everything. So just when all the work comes together for this, it's just special, you know.
And yet there are new players in that come in each year. Are they automatically a part of the family like that?
Young lads like Brian Howard, Owen Merchant coming through, and they just give you such a lift, you know, to give the group a massive lift. They add so much to it, so it's just unbelievable.
Well, go get your medal for the 4th time. Congratulations, James.
Yeah, James McCarthy very, very happy with himself. He's just won another All-Ireland. That's his 6th. His dad, by the way, John McCarthy, was a forward. He won 3. There's Jim Roach, one of the officials, going through the picture there. It's such a day for them. They delivered, these Dublin players, when they had to. All the hard work paying off for them. And right now, they will already be thinking, I'm sure, somewhere in Dublin, of that never before achieved at senior level, the 5 in a row. The search for 5, I'm sure, will start almost immediately. 2019's a different story, however. Tyrone will have gained much, I think, by making this year's decider. They started very well, Desi. Then those 2 goals really rocked them towards the end of the first half. But the penalty goal, had it come a bit earlier, maybe we might have had an even more dramatic finish.
Yeah, I suppose 1 point in 20 minutes wasn't what you expect from a team like this. Pat Spillane will be a worried man up there. Kerry did 4 in a row, but this Dublin team now could be the greatest team ever to play football. They really are an exceptional bunch of players, and their age profile is so good as well that they'll be around for many more years.
Well, that man's happy.
A huge congratulations to Dublin on this special day in Gaelic football, a historic day. And just to remind you once again, only the 3rd team ever to accomplish that 4 in a row. Desi mentioned, Pat, this achievement, and he reckons they could even go one better again than you.
I think they could, Michael. I think they could. I think let's today salute a brilliant team, brilliant footballers, brilliant role models, an advertisement for everything that's good about the Gaelic football. And it's up to the other counties to aspire to being like the Dubs, playing like the Dubs. But let's applaud what they've achieved. 4 in a row. 28 championship games unbeaten. 3 of those starting team today.
Yes.
Cluxton, Keane O'Sullivan, James McCarthy have played in all 6. 11 players have now won 6 All-Ireland medals. Jim Gavin has managed Dublin to 5 All-Ireland senior football titles. That's second only to Micco. They've won 6 All-Ireland titles, Michael, in 8 years. They're just brilliant and well done.
Hamburg, not to take away in any way from the achievements of the past, but because of the intensity of matches that is there in the modern game, it is more difficult now, perhaps, to win these All-Irelands than it was at any stage.
Well, there's absolutely no doubt about it. I've only seen teams since the 60s, so, like, you know, you can say the best team of all time.
Yeah.
The best team, if an evolving team, and Pat made the point at the start that they're 6 different from a few years ago. So it's an evolving team. But I have never seen a team with the speed, the skill, the equality, the endurance, the humility. The fact that they seem as if they have a responsibility to the game to play it in the proper way. And it's great to watch Dublin in action in any game, because They kick pass, they're running power, they have everything else. And also, like, unlike the Kerry team of the 70s, they've dominated the league as well. They dominate everything they play, and of course they have to play far more games in a season than, say, Kerry had to do. The 7 or 8 games, whereas Kerry played maybe 3 or 4. So they are the best I have seen, there's no doubt about it. But the worrying thing for every other team, and I looked at the ages of the Dublin forward line at the start, Dean Rock was the oldest at 28. I think nearly everybody else was under 25. Like the likes of Brian Fenton, who was fantastic in the middle of the field, Johnny Cooper, who had a brilliant game today, Brian Howard, who was magnificent today. They're all very young, they could get better.
Yeah. The big, well, you know, their behaviour off the field as well, and the way they are such brilliant GA ambassadors. I mean, I'll just tell this story now. James McCarthy, out of the blue, I got a text from him on Friday, and he said, "Joe, you know, I hope you enjoy your big day on Sunday. It is well deserved. You know, looking forward to seeing you. I have fond memories of that team." These are classy guys who know something about the past of Dublin and the future, and they're there passing these jerseys on, and they play with great respect and dignity for the game. And you know, you could not begrudge them their great success.
And they're about to accept the Sam Maguire.
GAA president and the Fianna clubman John Horan presenting the Sam Maguire Cup to Dublin's captain Stephen Cluxton, as Dublin retain their title yet again. All-Ireland winners for 2018. The partying in Dublin is set to begin. Celebrating another milestone in the life and times of the best Dublin team ever. The record speaks for itself. 28th All-Ireland win. What a scene, what a setting. Jason Sherlock there with the team manager Jim Gavin and all the backroom team, Declan Darcy as well, and of course Shane O'Hanlon.
Dublin senior football team. First of all, I'd like to just thank the officers of Croke Park for organising the competition. I'd like to congratulate Tyrone on a fine game today. It was nip and tuck. I know you've put a lot of effort into this, and we did too, and you put us to the pin of our collar, and I would just like to thank you on behalf of everybody here for the spectacle that we had today. Thanks a minute. I'd like to thank AIG for our sponsorship of the Dublin GAA and to our other partners whose support we really cherish. To the officers of the County Board and the staff in Parnell, we'd like to thank you for your endless work, your dedication to the team, and regardless of what people say about money and population, put these teams out and really go as hard as we can. The gym, the management team and the backroom team, I won't be listing off people because I know I'll always forget someone, but thank you for your endless dedication to this journey. 50 weeks from last time here to get to here today, so you guys deserve a massive round of applause. To the players themselves, there's probably not much I could say because I would undervalue these guys because the work and dedication that they put in year after year is unbelievable. Their determination, their self-sacrifice, their commitment to their county, that's what led you to this All-Ireland. Take a bow, boys. Congratulations. To our families, I'd like to thank you for your unrelenting support, encouragement and loyalty throughout the year. You guys are the ones that probably do the sacrifices. We enjoy the sport, so thank you so much to our families. To our supporters, you've travelled in numbers everywhere, from O'Byrne Cup to League, to Leinster, to All-Ireland. Your unwavering support gets us through the tough times, especially in the last 5 or 10 minutes of the game when it just isn't going right for us. Thank you guys so much.
So there you go, and it's a joyous moment for Philly McMahon and all the rest after Stephen Cluxton's words there, which were greeted with great cheers, as you heard. Sam Maguire is set to stay in the capital for one more year at the very least, and as the late Paddy O'Shea used to tell me, it'll shorten the winter. There's young Brian Howard. What an addition he has been, not to mention Con O'Callaghan. And it's good to see that Cian O'Sullivan is able to go and pick up that trophy as well and raise it to the skies, having had to go off with his injury. John Small from Ballymont Kickham's, there's a good representation there. Paddy Andrews, of course, and Michael Fitzsimons. And the big midfielder, Brian Fenton next. Big cheer for Brian Fenton, whose family are steeped in sport. His late mother, Marion, was a great swimming coach. Sadly missed. But Brian, but Jim Gavin and all the rest going around and just celebrating right now. The youngsters coming in as well. Darren Daly coming in with children there. They'll always remember this, I'm sure, the day when they were able to come and share with the big fellows, with the adults. Cormac Costello and another little man here. Cormac, only 24 years of age, and off he goes. And that little lad, I'm sure, is having quite a day at Croke Park. They all are in the blue and the navy of Dublin. They have been fantastic champions. As the panel have been saying, they've played the game in such a wonderful style, wonderful spirit. Everybody loves coming to watch them. And as they go through now, everybody gets a chance to have their moment with the Sam Maguire. Michael Darragh-McCauley, the last one there we're going to look at. Michael, it's some day for the Dubs. I hope you're enjoying your big day as well with the three lads up in the studio.
Indeed, and enjoying these celebrations, and a special day as well, Colin, obviously for Stephen Cluxton that we heard from a moment ago there, because of course he is this special captain in the history of the GAA.
Absolutely, and I've said it before, he revolutionised Gaelic football with the way that he has been able to take the kick-outs. Everybody else has copied him. He's the revolutionary, the Che Guevara in a way of Gaelic football. And he has brought one element to it, and I think it's no coincidence too that the modesty of the players, it's a reflection of Jim Gavin. His parents are from West Clare, they're steeped in Irish culture and Irish tradition and Irish music, and he has those values, and it's very obvious that those values have been transmitted to his team. So they're just an incredible bunch in every way. But if somebody says to me in 10 or 20 or 50 years there's only going to be one Dublin team, I'd say, well, they'll have won every All-Ireland or most of them in the meantime.
And let's hear from Dublin's Paul Mannion. He is with Joanne.
Paul, what a game, what a season it's been for you. Has that been one of the best of quite a few good seasons?
Yeah, the last couple of years have been incredible. It's just so good to finish it. Winning the Sam again, it's an unbelievable feeling. That's what we came here to do. We're just over the moon.
If you look back at the game, a bit of a dodgy start, but then you just came roaring into it with that penalty.
Yeah, we were backs against the wall there. They really put it up to us in those first 20 minutes. And we got a lucky break with the penalty there, and just glad I took it away. So, yeah, I suppose that was probably gave us a boost. The same as the rest of the lads. We kind of woke up a bit and strung together a few points. And luckily from there, we kind of took control of the game and made it difficult for them.
You did more than took it away. Have you been practicing quite a bit in those?
Well, yeah, I missed one down there in the Leinster final, so yeah, I went away and practiced them a lot, and yeah, just made sure I struck it properly this time, and glad to see it go to the back of the net.
There were a few shaky moments. You looked like you were completely in control, and then there were a few shaky moments towards the end, and of course John Small's red card as well.
Yeah, I think we probably just got a bit too relaxed there with about 10 minutes to go, and we knew Tyrone were going to press up on us like they did in those last kind of 20 minutes of Omagh, and maybe we weren't focused properly for that or something. They got a couple of dangerous high balls in and got the penalty off that, so yeah, we had to stay focused right until the end. So.
And as always you did, and once again All-Ireland champions. Well done, what a great year. Well done, Paul Mannion.
Thanks, Joanne. All right, on that note, we have another break coming up here on the programme. Back with more on this 2018 All-Ireland football final right after that.
better when you've all the facts.
"66 games, 4 months of endeavour, and at the end of it all, Dublin have reached their goal. It's a 4-in-a-row triumph, joining only Kerry and Wexford in reaching that milestone. What an incredible achievement that was. Let's go down pitch side and join Joanne Cantwell.
And here with me are two more All-Ireland winners, Tyrone's Owen Mulligan and Sinead Goldrick, who has an All-Ireland final herself coming up in a couple of weeks' time. We'll talk about this one first of all. Were you ever in any doubt?
I just think, I suppose, for the first 10 minutes, Tyrone came out, but they didn't get the scores on. And then I think Paul Mannion's penalty, and then he went straight back and stopped a goal. I think that was a really turning point, and Dublin just kept their work rate up. Like, Conor O'Callaghan was outstanding, Jack McCaffrey. There's so many Dublin players that stood up today, and it was a really good team performance overall by Dublin.
From a Tyrone point of view, where in particular do you think it went wrong?
I think shot selection was a big fact in the match. Forwards hitting outside of the boots when the shot wasn't really on. I think we got off to a dream start. First 15 minutes we were coasting, we were in Dublin's faces, and it was perfect. And then a bad shot selection from McShane. They went out in the field, scored a point. Bad kick out from Morgan, then the penalty, which I probably don't think it was a penalty, but it's over, game's over at that stage.
It's amazing though, isn't it, how this Dublin team can take advantage of, even when they're under the cosh, and then all of a sudden one turning point like that, and they make sure that they put the foot down on the throat.
Yeah, and even I think like Keane O'Sullivan came off, Johnny Cooper came off, Owen Murchan came up, so that's 3 backs coming off, and it shows the calibre that they have in the backs, that people just come on and gaps didn't slip. So just overall, everyone I think is always talking about the forward line and the subs coming on. I think the backs that came on today, really kind of stood up, and it was just really good to see that you can, like, they're just, anyone is replaceable there. The team is just full of like outstanding players.
But did you actually think at that stage when those players were going off, and that's when Tyrone started to creep back in, and just before John Small got sent off?
I didn't feel that Dublin were being pushed the way we should have. The last 10 minutes, the Tyrone reverted to plan B, was put Cavan into full forward. I thought that was working. I thought they should have did that a wee bit sooner. Do you know what I mean? And they were getting joy from it. Cavan got the penalty. Cluxton flapped it a few, so maybe they should have reverted that at 15 minutes to go from the end of time. But I said the shot selection was very poor, and the forwards kind of let us down on the day.
Given that you do believe that they have this great squad, do you see them getting even better? We saw them pick up another couple of players this year. Can we see that happening again?
I think the strength in numbers and what Jim Gavin is doing. Eric Lyons came on today, in an All-Ireland final. You probably haven't seen him as much throughout the championship. And I think that, when what you were saying about when Kavanagh was in, he was in like full forward for a while. They maybe didn't use him. They should have used him sooner, and they got a penalty from it. But then the second time they did it, Brian Harry got an outstanding catch, and then that just stopped it. So I think it just really shows that, like, whatever player it is, they can kind of stand up and make a really good.
Dublin seemed to adapt to whatever thrown threw at them, and that was the difference. Colley was in there for say 10 minutes, then as you say, a brilliant catch, but he didn't get the penalty. But whatever other teams throw at Dublin, that's when Dublin come better. It seems to be man motivated, it seems to be man on the pitch. Jim or Gavin doesn't have to come and make these decisions. The men make it themselves, and that's what makes them a special team.
Before we go, one very quick word. Is it really important it's a double, and that the Dublin women beat Cork in an All-Ireland final?
Yeah, I just think looking in the Crow Park today and you see the crowds coming in, it's an All-Ireland final day. It's a brilliant day for everyone, and the ladies have that in 2 weeks' time, the Camogie have that next week, so it's just for family and any supporters watching the game today. There's Camogie next week, there's ladies getting football, and it's going to be, the skill level is going to be high, so we just would like to have a huge crowd out here, and Dublin are playing Cork, and there's a lot of history there, so it's just going to be hopefully a good day for the game.
Sinead Goldrick, Owen Mulligan, thank you very much. It is the Camogie finals live on RT next week, and it's Cork against Dublin in the All-Ireland football final the following week.
It is indeed, but for the moment it is the football final. And Mugsy mentioned a thing there, Joe, that you want to pick up on. He was talking about Tyrone's shot selection.
Yeah, I think it's more not just shot selection. We identified this in the Monaghan game. Tyrone, the big managerial error of Mickey Hart, and there have been many, was that last year after the semi-final against Dublin, he should have converted to football then and worked on football, because we saw today that a huge problem for Tyrone was that they did create a lot of potential chances, but they didn't know how to take advantage of them. poor shot selection, the wrong pass. In the second half, they wouldn't kick past the ball forward. And this is what comes from playing conditioned zonal defensive football for 4 or 5 years. Players aren't trusted. And if you don't trust the players, they won't trust each other. Whereas Dublin were moving the ball. They were taking on every opportunity and moving the ball because they're trusted on the field. And you wind back to the Tyrone team of 03, 05, 08, they would have taken those chances. They would have created those opportunities. They play the game as they see it. Tyrone are going the right direction, make no mistake about it. And let us hope that we're now going to come out of this morass of dross, this defensive football that has been dragging the game into the mire. Because, I mean, Tyrone come out of this today and they say, hey, look at how many chances we've missed. These guys aren't superhuman. We can go out and compete. They are a great team, no doubt. But one of the advantages that they've had is, save for Mayo, everyone else has disappeared down in the blanket defensive hole, and Dublin have just made hay over the last 3-4 years against blanket defensive teams.
Yeah, well, I do, yes, to a certain point, yeah, there's no doubt about it. Tyrone's game plan is based on counter-attacking. It's based primarily on getting the defences right. It's a counter-attacking game. The two elements that are missing is, A, their kicking game. Yeah. They don't have a kicking game. And it was only, as Muggsy alluded to there, when they reverted to plan B for the last 15 minutes, where they kicked the ball into the danger area, where they had Colm Kavanagh, big target man, and they caused problems to the Dubs. But at the end of the day, look, let's be honest, 6 points.
They were never winning the game.
They were never going to win the game. This game was over as a contest long before half-time. Dublin played the second half on their terms, and if they wanted to, they could have won by 10 or 15 points. So look, credit for Tyrone for keeping it going, putting it up. They didn't, their heads never dropped. But look, they were a distant second to the Dubs, Michael.
There's a big difference in class here, and the other side of this is the big Tyrone players who needed to overpower their opponents, like Matty Donnelly and Niles Fludden and Peter Hart and Colm Kavanagh and Tiernan McCann. Like, they were all second best to Brian Howard, Kieran Kilkenny, Brian Fenton, Con O'Callaghan, Johnny Cooper. Like, the class players were on the Dublin side. So whatever tactics were in it, and I think Tyrone tactics are flawed, and it's been a dreadfully boring year because of that.
All right, well, the lads are here with us at Croke Park for another while, and we will be hearing... The celebrations continue around Croke Park. The 2018 football champions have been crowned, and it is, of course, Dublin who have taken that honour, beating Tyrone on a scoreline of 2 goals and 17 points to 1 goal and 14 points. Joe Bradley, Colin Rourke was saying to me during the second half, watch Dublin when they had possession of the ball, watch Dublin here now, they put it together 150 passes and then get a point at the end of it, and that's exactly what was
Tyrone's big problem was the lack of composure, the lack of attacking chemistry, a charge that cannot be levelled at Dublin, who've played beautiful football for 6 years now. Now in this selection that we're looking at, they're now 6 points up, and they hold possession for 1 minute and 47 seconds. Now, it's not easy to do that. You can become jittery, the crowd gets on your back, their movement, they're probing, at all times their heads are up. Look at the man inside at that point. He just decides it's a bit risky to take that pass on. But because everybody's passing and moving, they've got such a beautiful chemistry built up. They end with a score. That's terribly demoralising for Tyrone. And it was saying to them, look, no matter what you do, we will keep you at arm's length.
But I suppose the other side of it is, lads, that the gap here at the end was 6 points. And those 6 points essentially came, if you like, in the first half and the 2 goals that Dublin got.
Yeah, it was a sort of a blitzkrieg when it looked as if we were going to have a proper match, and we were all looking and thinking maybe this is going to be Tyrone's day. One bad kick out changes the whole tone of the game. Mannion in. At the time I didn't know whether it was a penalty or not. I thought the referee...
Tiernan McCann took him out.
I don't think he did take him out.
Even in your era, that was a penalty.
That's Tiernan McCann taking out Paul Mannion, clearly.
But once that penalty went into the net and there was clinical precision, it was really a message that the sort of day of the Boy Scouts was over, the big league. Dublin then really into stride, scored 2-6 to a point for the remainder of the half, and the game was over. And the second half was really punching time.
Sorry, can I interject just one thing? Michael Lester, after 35 years presenting the Sunday game, the 77th All-Ireland Senior Footballer Hurling Final to present, and it's your last programme, and as a panel we are sad and disappointed. You'll probably have different words. We are sad and disappointed. This will be the last day. Us as a panel will work together with you, Michael. Normally we're analysing managers, tactics, teams, individuals. Today perhaps maybe we should analyse Michael's performances over the last couple of years. So let's roll the VT there.
I never trusted any of you, by the way.
I remember one day being in the radio sport department out in RTE. I saw a young man enter. I didn't know him. Somebody said he's from Galway. I had a look, a perfect specimen of the West Awake. Cavey Owen, Michael Lester, glowing with enthusiasm. Sinné go the heel, sláinte cút agus cowir, agus dalamh go dó ná ráir.
Hello and welcome. In the programme tonight, it's the All-Ireland Football Finals. Tonight we'll be taking a trip down memory lane.
And how could anybody go and sit and have a pint with those boys after that? It's an absolute outrage, and it's totally the opposite of what sports should be.
You've made your point. We got to help Cannibal and BA to find this goose. We went to the pub for a quick pint. Ordinary, decent citizens, filling people up with drink, bringing them out in the street, and then asking them these silly questions.
Beautiful eyes, Michael.
I love them. I was right. I can't get into my groove. I don't know.
Good morning. I hope you're all well this morning. I'm Moya Doherty.
And I'm Michael Lester. A very good morning to you. Well, it was a busy morning for our Irish boxers. In the early hours, Wayne McCullough made his debut in the ring. It's Stephen Roach, Sean Kelly, and right here beside me, Stevie jocking the pocket rockets. Yes, it's party time, folks, and if that sounds a little bit premature, well, I don't really care.
The first time I heard Starman, I was cutting turf in the bog in Clondahamper.
Great moments, great memories indeed. Can I just say, if you ask my honest opinion, that is the worst piece of analysis you guys have ever done. And you've done some bad ones.
We haven't started it on yet.
I think I spent the longest time with you, Michael, and I'd just like to say thank you for your courtesy, your civility, and your professionalism, because you never wanted to be the story. You let us get on with it, and you were just fantastic.
Yeah,
well done.
You better, and you
Michael,
you better not be going to Sky.
Michael,
sorry, Dave.
I think I'm here just as long as Colin, but I want to thank you personally for being so professional, so kind to us, so understanding, putting up with all these prima donnas here.
Yes.
You've made the Sunday game the institution that it has been. So now, you know, when I'm thinking about it, from a lesser TV programme, there's 3 guys already after throwing their hat for a nomination for president. So, Michael, throw your hat in for nomination for president. We'll back you.
Well, listen, thank you very much. That's a very kind offer to actually go for Áras an Ógtráin. But the one thing I have to tell you lads is when I'm stepping down, I did suggest to RTE that they get rid of the 3 of you as well, rather than just have a change.
We heard that from Declan McBennett.
Thanks, lads. You're very kind. And thank you very much indeed for that. Let's just wrap up on this football final, or if you like, very quickly, on this football championship that we've seen in 2018. Good, bad, indifferent?
I think it has suffered badly in comparison with the hurling, but the hurling has been just fantastic. Yeah. But what we're seeing in Gaelic football now is the game has become unwatchable unless Dublin are involved. And this has been reflected in the trend of people going to games. The attendances at the semi-final were down for the first time ever. I think the television audiences are suffering as well. So I think there needs to be root and branch reform of the game going forward.
Yeah. It's been a disappointing football championship, but at the end of the day, look, the cream always comes to the top, and that has come with Dublin, who are brilliant ambassadors for the game. But I agree with Colin, we will need to address the ills of Gaelic football.
But this is a year, Pat, when the GAA introduced the Super 8s, for example.
Yeah.
I can see a future for this. I can see this going forward. Would you agree, or
Michael, what needs to be, there needs to be a change in the mindset of coaching of Gaelic football. And too often in the recent past, the mindset has been defensive, possession, conservative, cagey, safety first. And unfortunately, in the coaching of Gaelic football at club and inter-county level, there's a lot of bluffers and spoofers have taken over.
Dublin, I mean, look, obviously Dublin thrill us all. Yes. And the way they play the game continues to inspire. It's been a source of amazement to me that rather than coaches copy the Dublin template, they've copied the Jimmy McGuinness template. Yeah. But it is coming to an end. Tyrone abandoning it for the semi-final, I think, has signalled the death knell for it. And we also are conscious of the fact that GA is more than just a game. You know, it's, we all owe a duty to the game. It's bigger than you or me. It's even, Gaelic Games is even bigger than Pat Spillane.
Jeez.
But we all owe the game a duty. And if anything comes out of this game today, it's that Tyrone need to be applauded for coming out and playing with courage. They just haven't been doing it for long enough. There is nothing to fear from going out and playing Gaelic football and expressing yourself. And if we have a situation where Gaelic football is more like the minor final than like most of the football we saw this year, and we see other teams trying to play it. Kerry, Mayo, Kildare play great football. When they're involved in games, you get entertainment. That is the way the game must be played now. We've had an aberration for 4 years. Hopefully it becomes a nightmare that we forget about within a year or two.
Well, I'll tell you, for the moment, I'll let you guys sort out the future of Gaelic football. But thank you very much. OK, it is, on that note, time for us to leave you this evening from Croke Park. But I hope that you will be able to join Des Cahill and myself for the later edition of the Sunday Game as we reflect further on today's final, and we will also be naming our Team of the Year in football, 9:30 here on RTE2. But for the moment, from Colin, Pat, Joe and myself, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
This would have been something that Mickey and the lads would have been talking about after not such a great start in last year's semi-final. You always want to try and get out of the blocks quick, but most importantly, just to get a few points in Dublin, and we all ask questions what Dublin would be like with a few points down. Now those were answered, but in this first clip you can see Niall Morgan, early stage in All-Ireland final. Dublin are playing zonal. Kieran McGeary's hanging out the wing. His body movement, the way he readjusts his body, Dublin has covered all the bases that he should be kicking to, but he opened the body up and dinked it over a defender's or an attacker's head very confidently. Second here, you have to. Richie Donnelly was left off the starting team. Mark Bradley forwards up front in his own like he did in last year's semi-final. His movement here is exceptional. This is Stevie O'Neill-esque, the way in which he V'd in and out, and Cian O'Sullivan really lost him in this one. Yet again here, we watch Mark Bradley's movement inside. Johnny Cooper's covering from the front. He's one, he's two, he's maybe three runs until eventually the ball goes inside. He holds the ball up very smartly. His teammate, or his club teammate Tyrone McCann, comes off the shoulder and kicks a great score. And this is what we want to see from Tyrone. Kieran McGeary, who was very prominent in the opening first 17 minutes with a massive hit and turnover. And Tyrone needed to be clinical. On this occasion, Conor McAlliskey from long range, he's capable of that. He has that in his locker. And it was an all-action first 17 minutes for Tyrone. And at 5-1 up, we were all hoping and thinking that this could have been Tyrone's day.
And the truth is, Tomas O'Shea, it could possibly have been more than 5-1 up.
Yeah, I think for Tyrone to win days, everything had to go right for them. You know, they had to sort out kickouts, they had to sort out Dublin forwards. But I think the main thing they had to do was take the chances that they carved out for themselves. They worked so hard to create these chances, but whatever way it is, if it's composure, if it's taking the wrong option, they seem to get it wrong at times. Mark Bradley, the missed one first from Niall Sludden here, the option was to Colin McShane. Give it to Colin McShane, all the other dubs were taken up at the time, and take the right options as you go along. The next one, Peter Hart is in space. He actually takes on Cian O'Sullivan. Cian O'Sullivan is actually caught here. He was caught a couple of times today, actually. He creates the space, but I think it's a poor effort. He had a free enough shot at it, and I think he could have settled a little bit more, and it was actually a poor effort in the end. Here we have Colin McShane. I think here, just take a hook kick. A hook kick, don't go for the outside of the boot, and it's a poor effort in the end. I think the select choices they took was wrong at times. As we were talking about percentages before the game, you know, and I suppose against Monaghan they had a 47% conversion rate. Today they had 28 shots from play and they kicked 9 of them. Okay, then that's 32%. You need to be kicking a lot more. Tyrone had 16 wides today, Dublin had 6. And at the end of the day, they created a load of chances. But if they're going to make that step to take on the Dubs, you have to take more of those chances.
Sean, you have a theory, haven't you? Or not? You were explaining to me why you think they might be struggling.
This has been an issue probably, and I've been part of that issue. But for the last 4, 5, 6 years since we went into that full transition running game, whenever you spend that much time exerting energy, obviously in shutting out teams, and you're playing on the high speed break, at the end of that 70-metre run, you do tend to have it's a percentage shot. That's the reality, and you're looking at Dublin, and you're looking at how in the past few games they've been hitting 60-70%. Jim McGuinness was a big fan of it when Donegal won the All-Ireland, and it's something that is probably haunting us the past few years, and we have to get a structure in that attack. We have to trust guys to hold up the top end of the field. I know we always talk about teams of old, but we had guys up there who we trusted, and we pinged the ball into them. They could win their own ball and score.
They actually create the chances, and for Mickey Hart, for Tyrone next year, the biggest challenge when they look back at the year, you look back and say, where can we improve? That has to be number one, because they're actually creating
Don't
them.
shoot,
they
recycle
have to,
it.
well, they have to come back next year, and they have to make sure to get that percentage rate up. You know, if
that
you don't,
comes with their game plan evolving.
They're a young team as well.
They haven't been used to playing.
They have improved on it, and Richard Donnelly got inside, provided a focal point, and in the Meath game in particular, he won an awful lot of ball. Conor Michalski looped off him. But it is a big call today, leaving Richie off. He hasn't been a massive player for Tyrone this year, but he's been an important player in terms of the way in which they improved through the summer.
Well, while Tyrone had that great start, you felt, Tomas, there were signs that Dublin were a bit jittery in that opening 15 minutes.
Yeah, I think that all came, Des, from the pressure that Tyrone exerted on them. Tyrone came out of the blocks, and I suppose composure is a word you'd always associate with Dublin. You know, and when Tyrone came out, they went at Dublin. I think twice they upset Cluxton, but I wouldn't blame Cluxton here. I think John Small was running, he was trying to look behind, he was trying to look forward, and went over the sideline. It happened twice. Philly was surrounded here by options. Okay, normally you'd have a fella off the shoulder. Tyrone were in so quickly, it actually upset them. This was all in maybe a 10-15 minute period. Here we have options here. The option for James McCarthy to go long wasn't on. He turned around, he didn't have anybody in his shoulder. He was surrounded straight away by 3 ravenous Tyrone men. For that first 15 minutes, Des, I suppose we saw Dublin. Here we have Dean Rock. I thought it was strange. He always kicks it off the hands, and it was an easy one. He kicked 45s for fun, and it was a poor kick by Dean's standards. Here is similar, very similar position. Out of his hands, it goes right. And the things weren't clicking for Dublin. Tyrone were creating chances on the other end. Here we have John Small. I would have kicked that ball right there. Right there, I would have kicked it, but he actually carried it further, you know, and he drew in the Tyrone lads, and even still he should have scored. You know, things were going not great from them. They were still creating chances, but I suppose when you come to the Dubs, they always back themselves. They always, I suppose, make sure that I think it all starts with Cluxton. They will always have possession. When they got to grips with things, when they turned it around after that time, they didn't look back, you know. I think that's why Tyrone needed to be taking every opportunity down the other end, and they didn't.
But let's look at it then. So Tyrone have started perfectly, Dublin looked jittery, and then in the space of a couple of minutes, the whole game went on its head.
Yeah, and it probably started one kick out from Niall Morgan. He did perfect 20 minutes, Des, and then he went to go long with this ball, and it just didn't come off his foot right. And if you look where Conor Callan, Tyrone have nobody covering him. He's in the full forward position, most dangerous position on the pitch. Goes to Kilkenny, and it's straight in. You can see him looking for that ball, and it's in, and there's no... Tiernan McCann flies into Mannion. There's no question about it. It's a penalty. And straight away, that got into Morgan's head, and Dublin smelt that they were after rattling him, and they play with that zonal press. And again, when you're playing with that zonal press, it frees up players. Kilkenny's in there on the break, nobody near him. Rock was in that full forward position again. He's drifted off, and the ball's straight over the bar. And you can see Morgan this stage, the two hands go up, and he's basically saying, this is going out as long as I can. We're going 50-50 now. And out it comes. Fenton is up. The two lads are coming in, even on sweeping on the break. Conor Callan, who had a brilliant first half, goes left, pulls back, a great hand pass by Fenton across. And in the space days of a couple of minutes, you know, 1-2 on the board, and Tyrone are rattling, and all the energy that they put into the first 20 minutes is gone. Johnny Cooper here, you can see there's a sense we have them, we're going after them. Scully picks this ball up. O'Callaghan shows again. Scully continues to run. Watch this for a bounce. Callan pulls it back, comes across, has time to get up, and Scully back in the net. So in a space days, I think they got 2-4 in the space of like an 8-9 minute period. So when you're Tyrone and you've exerted, you've gone man to man, you've put significant pressure on Dublin for a 20-minute period, you're 5-1 up, you feel you're in a good position. That's what great teams do. That's what his team done at times to us in the past. When they smell a weakness, they go after weakness, they go for it.
They started with Morgan.
And they started with it, but they knew Morgan was rattled and he had a brilliant, and they got into his head, they won those long kickouts, and that to me was the most significant. Like, the game essentially was over. Dublin weren't going to give up a 7-8 point lead at that stage.
We would have talked about Dublin getting back whenever we played youths through the noughties. Dublin do that to you. They get on a huge surge and the hill gets behind them, and you could hear the noise during that surge. And I thought Tyrone were a little bit naive. Back in our day, when we would have been ricey going down with a hamstring and trying to slow the game down. And Dublin do that too. Good teams can sense when they're on the ropes, and some of the decision making from the Tyrone guys maybe just wasn't right whenever you're under that pressure.
Yeah.
Conor
it's a young
Meyler,
team.
Conor Meyler, Tyrone had 3 guys surrounding, and a cheap person at the back gives a free away, and for that second goal for Niall Scully. So the guys will learn. At Bar Column, there was 14 guys starting the All-Ireland final for the first time there today. It was a good achievement getting there, but they will come away with an awful lot of learning.
And Niall Morgan had started so brilliantly. He had 6 or 7 perfect kickouts, and the Dubs were trying to push up, you know, and it just cracked, and when it cracked spectacularly.
Yeah. What about the penalty? Kieran says it was a penalty. We can have a look at it.
Yeah, I mean, whatever angle you look at it, I think it comes down to the fact that I suppose Tyrone McCann, I think he just played the man rather than the ball. Maybe he was trying to play the ball, but the reality is there's one view that shows it perfectly. He dives, he throws himself at it, possibly trying to deflect the ball, but he just catches Mannion straight, and it's the next one that we see. It was the turning point. Tyrone had been well in charge. It was what brought Dublin back into the game. I have no doubt that this is the one, straight for the man, and takes him completely out of it. And in fairness to Mannion, it was a time where they were under pressure, and I thought he slaughtered it unbelievably. It was a pressure kick, pure pressure kick. You had the stadium roaring at him. It was what catapulted Dublin back into the game. I think it would have come anyway, but I think it took great courage from Mannion to take it, but it was definitely a penalty.
Penalty, Sean?
Yeah, unfortunately, I have to agree. I think Matty probably would have got there, but Tiernan did put enough pressure on him to put him off the shot, and it probably was a penalty. And it was a super penalty. We sat here earlier in summer, and Paul missed one against Laois. He pulled it at the post. So, yeah, to step up and under that pressure with Tyrone dominating at that point was good.
So Dublin now have that comfortable lead at half-time into the third quarter.
Yeah, the third quarter, Des, was, you know, the big change for me in the second half. Dublin didn't kick it wide. They dropped too short. They didn't make mistakes, and they're in control of the game, and I thought their big players really came into it. Fenton kicked 2 points. You see here him just drifting off the man straight over the bar. Brian Howard came into it. He was on this ball after Murchie went down. He was on it 3 times. He puts a ball out to the wing. He just continues his run. At this stage, Tyrone are fatiguing Des. You can see three men get sucked in. Howard is just left in the space. Ball comes across to him, and a great score over the bar. Kilkenny, you know, been brilliant all year. You can see here he's having a chat with Tiernan McCann. McCann's not facing the play. Kilkenny just stays focused, stays concentrated. He's probably one of the most difficult men to mark in the modern game. He just gets away from him with ease here and pops it over the bar. And then, you know, I thought this was hugely important. This is Dean Rock. This is a set play. It's out of Dean's probably range. It's a 50-50 chance. This is where Dublin have been brilliant all year. Mannion makes the run. They knew exactly what they're doing here. Mannion picks up the ball and does brilliantly well to get the ball over the bar. Some of his tackles back in the first half were excellent, but this was a super score. So in that third quarter, while Tyrone were staying with them and it started the half at a couple of points, Dublin's big players found more space and they really came into their own.
But in fairness, a young Tyrone team, who says, Sean, they showed their character. They did come fighting back, and that last 15 minutes they really put it up to Dublin.
They did. For the last 10 minutes of last year's semi-final, Colin went inside and he caused them problems, and I actually thought that they could have put Colin in at the start of the game. You could see him meandering in there, and along with Richard Donnelly, they created a bit of havoc. It's probably the only element of the game that you can really see a perceived weakness in Dublin's game. Colin was probably a little bit cute here, but Philly McMahon was all over him as well. So I think that was a penalty as well, and Peter dispatched it well. But for that last 10-minute period, Tyrone did really fly the arrows, and with Colm and Richie, I think this time Richie gets his hand on it. Big physical presence inside, pushing men around, and the ball's fed out. Snap shot from Lee Brennan. Normally those goes over the bar, and they were almost within striking distance at this stage. We can see Niall here, who's very good near side of the boot as well, putting one edge of the square. Colin gets a hand on it. If Petey had got that in his hand, I've no doubt he would have drove for goal, but they were causing Dublin problems, and it's not often you see this Dublin team under pressure, but you could feel it in the nervousness in the stands as the long high balls went in. Paddy Hampshire here, it was a shot, it was an amazing shot, but you can see yet again Colm and Richie inside, and if that had maybe dropped short, it was 2v2, and who knows, a long arm, and it could have been another goal for Tyrone. So they did cause them problems, and that's what we wanted to see, and we saw it in the semi-final with Damien Comer and Stephen Cluxton coming off the line. So if there is a weakness or a chink, I think teams will have to maybe look at putting that big man. I think with Laois as well, they had big kinks in the edge of the square, and for long periods it caused Dublin problems. So there's not many weaknesses, but that may be one.
You have to go at them. The first 20 minutes they ran at them, they were movement up forward, and even the big man in the second half. And any time they actually went at them, but it's to go at them for 70 minutes. And I don't think there's a team at the moment
so
that can actually do it.
What about Dublin then under pressure and needed to kind of close out the game properly?
70 minutes gone, 7 minutes of injury time. I'm sure Malik O'Rourke was at home wondering where did all the injury time come from. But Dublin showed massive composure. Why they're champions. Cluxton got every kick out away in that period, particularly after the penalty when Tyrone had momentum. But Dublin, the impact in that period, particularly after the penalty when Tyrone had momentum. But Dublin, the impact of the bench, McMenamin comes in, and in fairness, Tyrone are going for it at this stage. But it was just, for me, it was just knowing how to kind of close out the game. It's very smart. Jack McCaffrey, he's just casually running out. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's drifting out into the space to pick up a kick out. Tyrone had to win. They won 4 of the last 5 kick outs in the last 10 minutes up in Omagh. That wasn't happening today. Dublin were going to stay composed. Again, it's Michael Darragh-Macaulay here. Tyrone are trying to press. He just drifts in, gets into the space, and he's putting Dublin on the front foot. And they're still going strong. Look at Kilkenny. This is, we're into injury time at this stage. What a run from deep in his own half. He keeps going. He's drifting into the square, and he's eventually the man that ends up on the end of this score. And as I said, this guy I think is nearly unmarkable. So to do that in the last 10 minutes, Tyrone were out on their feet. They pushed on, but as I said, it was the momentum breaker, Des. And here's Brian Howard, another guy, brilliant second half. What a catch, and comes out. So when Tyrone got that penalty, you could see Ronan O'Neill, he was getting the crowd going. That was their chance to try and squeeze them, but Dublin were able to kind of close it out.
It has to be mentioned as well. You can't ignore the fact that in Tyrone we've been obsessed with trying to push up in Stephen Cluxton's kickouts the last few weeks, and how we're going to do that. In that sequence we saw a number of times his ability to dink the ball in front of players and to have the confidence that those players are going to make that and take possession. He had 28 out of 30 kickouts, 94% today, and that's why
everything starts with him.
Yes, it's an amazing.
It's a possession game, and it always starts with him. He's the best in the business.
The celebrations are starting as well back at the Dublin Hotel. So let's drop in and see. Michael's joined by a couple of men with many medals between them. Yeah, you're live, Philly. Yeah, this is live.
You're dead right there. You're dead right there, Des. 2 more of the heroes of today's big win over Tyrone are with me. Kevin McMenamin, Philly McMahon, of course. And just before you came to us, Philly was encouraging Kevin to give us a few bars of a song to get things going.
Definitely, he's got to sing a song. Off you go, Kev. I'm all right. I'll give it another few hours. Thanks very much, Mike. Appreciate it.
Well, mind you, it takes us so long to get you actually on the Sunday game that we definitely have to hear a song for you at some stage.
Maybe before I pack it all in now at some stage, but no, not tonight.
Yeah, let's talk football for the moment. Big win today, obviously, for you guys, and it felt a bit tough towards the end, obviously.
It was tough at the start as well. For some reason or another, we don't like winning All-Irelands comfortably. I know. Yeah. But look, we've huge respect for Tyrone. The preparation we've put in over the last couple of weeks is a representation of that. The management team has drilled us really well, and we knew it wasn't going to be an easy run today. We knew there was going to be patches where they get a purple patch, and that's what happened.
And of course, not only was it not an easy run today, it's not been an easy championship because of the new format of the championship and so on.
I think a lot of the lads would enjoy the new format, finishing the season a little bit earlier as well, and the games week after week. It's you're playing games at a training, so I think the lads have enjoyed it, and obviously we've won the cup, so it worked well for us.
Yeah, it worked out well. I know this is obviously a funny feeling sometimes, Kevin. You're waiting to get your chance. You're waiting to get involved in the action there and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. It was fairly tense, fairly impatient there, kind of wanting Jim to give you the shout. It's a long 55 minutes to wait for it. Yeah. But look, it's just part of the game. I'm probably used to it at this stage, more used to it than I'd like to be. But there's been a big, I suppose, commitment from the full panel this year. The second team have been pushing the first team really hard, and
I suppose really, Kevin, there isn't really a second team anymore in these things, because we all know, obviously, in the modern game that it's a panel game. I know that sounds like a bit of a cliche, but that's what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, we all had an impact on our team's preparation over the last few weeks. I'm sure there's a lot of players disappointed they didn't get in, but everyone has made the impact. We've got fellas who have a load of titles and are probably some of the greatest players ever to play football, that mightn't have even played minutes today or not as long as they would have liked. So it's a nice place to be in, but proud to be part of that second 15 today that we're able to steer it home.
And there's no doubt, obviously, for you guys and for all your teammates to be part of this team, a historic team, obviously, that must be very special to you.
I suppose it's not something we look at until we're finished about how many All-Irelands we have, but certainly as a group we'd be very appreciative of what we bring to the community of Dublin and the happiness we give people around us. So we're constantly reminded of who we represent, and today was another example of trying to bring positivity to the Dublin community.
All right, lads. Well, once again, congratulations to you and to your teammates on your success. Kevin, we'll give you an opportunity to just go down and warm up your throat down there. I'm not quite sure how he does.
We'll have the 4 in a row, and Tomás O'Shea is going to give us our 3 nominees for man of the match from today's All-Ireland football final.
Yeah, Des, look, some outstanding performances all year by Dublin, but again today a lot of guys stood up to the plate. First player we went for was Paul Mannion. I think he's grown as the championship has unfolded. A real leader. He stood up today, worked tirelessly back in defence, and he has done this all season long. It's a part of his game that he's worked on. Great composure to stick to penalty. It sparked Dublin into life. Love watching him play 1-1 today, so we went for him. Second, we went for Jack McCaffrey. As a half-back right now, he probably is the best in the business, even though I'm looking across at Lee here. He's pace to burn. In the modern game, you need that springboard, and he was outstanding again today after a serious injury last year to come back the way he has. He's an absolute winner. And then we went for Kieran Kilkenny. Consistency is the word you'd use with him always. His work rate, his tackling, constantly making it the hard runs. Not 3 from play again today, and a mainstay in the Dublin team. And even with the 3 of them, you'd have to say special mention to Brian Fenton, to Brian Howard, Con O'Callaghan. All of them could have been nominated as well, Des, but they're the 3 we went with.
OK, well, let's find out who our winner is then. Let's return to the hotel and rejoin Michael Lester.
Des, thank you very much indeed. Yes, I have the golden envelope here, and we're going to name our man of the match in just a moment for you. As you can see, I am joined here at the podium by Tyrone Common Luke Class Scale, John Hearn. And John, when you said your few words at the official function here earlier on, you were introduced to the crowd not just as Tyrone Common Luke Class Scale, of course, but as a dub. Proud man this evening.
Absolutely. Even if you're an ordinary supporter, you'd be delighted to see your own county win. But to get the opportunity to present Sam Maguire to the captain of the Dublin team, and particularly having worked with Stephen for so many years, that was certainly a great pleasure. And I suppose in 2005 I worked with some of these lads on the Dublin minor team, and Darren Daly just reminded me on the way up to the podium here tonight, do you know, Johnny, he says, you picked myself and Philly as forwards, and look where we are now. But look, great to be here and a great night, and 4 in a row is a massive achievement. Ordinarily back to back is big, but 4 is huge.
And John, coming at the end of the season, and I know we have the Camogie final to come up next week, but in terms of the football and the hurling, your reflections on it?
It's been a brilliant year. I mean, when you look at it, 2 full houses for both All-Ireland finals. I know the hurling had a spectacular championship, and somewhat, comparing the football to the hurling is a bit like apples and oranges. But at the end of the day, the crowd turned up today for what was a special occasion. And look, there are minor issues in football. We're working on it, and we'll try and help it a little bit along the way.
And just briefly picking up on that point, John, we saw, as you said a moment ago, the new format in football, and hurling obviously, but in football, when are you going to sit down and have a look at those? Because I think everybody says, look, this is a good system, it needs a few tweaks, and you've acknowledged that, I think, yourself. When are you going to look at it?
We actually started that process last Wednesday night. We actually had a group of people, Brian Cody and a few county secretaries, Mike Reardon from Limerick, Malachy O'Rourke was invited into as well. So we've actually already started that process since last Wednesday night.
Right, well, as I said, we've come to the end of a championship year, and your first year, as we said, in the job. In terms of the GAA overall, and looking at the overall situation, are you happy with where the GAA is in 2018?
Absolutely. I mean, the participation rates in Gaelic games are growing all the time, and I think our championships are catching people's imagination in terms of the attendances and that. So no, I think we're in a good space, but we've no room for complacency in this. It is about evolution, and it is about making it better if we can, but we don't need to turn the whole thing upside down, no.
That's a fair point. Just if I may briefly bring you back to your speech here to the people at the function, you were mentioning to them, and I didn't catch the full amount of it, but the fact that you're after presenting the cup to this 4-in-a-row team, but it's your first time doing it. You're referencing somebody from the past who presented 3 in a row as president and as the county man.
Yeah, Dan McCarthy, who's the previous native-born president back in the 20s. I just looked up the other day to see had he actually presented Sam to Dublin during his reign, and in actual fact he did 3 in a row. So 3 and 3 is 6. Let's see what happens.
And you're not putting the lads under too much pressure with all of that. John, listen, the reason that we're here, obviously, is to name the man of the match from the 2018 All-Ireland Football Final. As I said, I have the envelope, and, ladies and gentlemen, our man of the match for 2018 from the All-Ireland Football Final is Jack McCaffrey. Congrats, Jack. John will make the official presentation to you before anything else.
Well done. Good man.
But you can leave that, Jack, John, on the little plate there for the moment. We'll have a quick word or two. First of all, obviously, huge congratulations to yourself and to your teammates on your success. You put in a star performance today, obviously, on the pitch. But I have to say to you, Jack, some of you might remember, put in a star performance on the Sunday game here last year at the Gibson Hotel that, as the saying goes, kind of went viral.
Two very different years. Enjoyed myself last year, and I'm enjoying myself this year. So
I'd say you are, as in you've enjoyed, as the rest of your teammates have, the fact that you've not just won the All-Ireland, but you've achieved this special landmark in the 4 in a row.
Yeah, to be honest, coming into today, it was all about just getting the result today, and winning an All-Ireland is an exceptionally unique thing to be able to do. Over the next couple of months, we'll obviously take a step back and kind of take stock of where it fits into the whole context of things. But today, it's all about enjoying what this group has achieved and enjoying ourselves.
Well, look, we've seen counties down through the years, obviously, winning All-Irelands. It's a huge breakthrough, huge achievement. And then they can't quite reach that level again. You guys do this year in, year out for the last couple of years. Where do you all get the motivation to keep doing this?
I think, to be honest, well, I can only speak for myself, but our motivation principally comes from just how close we are as a group. So every year when we come back in January or whenever it may be, it's great to kind of share a dressing room with the lads that are here behind me, and we never talk about the kind of 4 in a row or any of that kind of nonsense. It's all about how well we're doing together, how much we're enjoying ourselves, and what you can do to make the person beside you look good.
Well, listen, you guys, you played well today. You did well as a group today. Congratulations to Dublin and to yourself. Our man of the match, ladies and gentlemen. thought, I don't know if the folks at home saw exactly what happened there, but there's been a leak in the roof all day long, and I thought this was kind of some sort of special presentation for Jack as man of the match. Did you get that showered on you? But no, you're okay, you got away with it. Well done. Listen, take that trophy home before something else bad happens up here. Des, I can tell you for an absolute fact, I'm getting out of here. Thanks very much.
Sorry, Michael. I just want you to stay here for one more moment. Today marks the end of your time with the Sunday game, and we as the GAA organisation would like to recognise that. And I have a small presentation for you, Michael, on behalf of the GAA, and just to explain to everybody what it is. It's a replica of the 1984 centenary medal by the GAA, alongside a medal from this year's 2018 to mark your 34 years of great service to RTE, but also to us, the GAA, as an organisation, for the work you've done on our behalf. So, Michael, the best of luck, and thanks very much for all you've done for us.
Well, John, thank you very much indeed. That is an absolutely gorgeous presentation. I really, really appreciate it. That is beautiful, and thank you. And thanks to the hotel for the shower earlier on as well.
Take it for granted. It's very humbling to see the amount of support that comes out to see us tonight and show them Sam Maguire again.
Enjoy it for what it is, and this one, and how special it is, and look, we'll take it as they come in the future.
You can go where no team has gone before. The hands of history are upon you.
Yeah, a lot of history, I guess, but again, we just look at internally and try to stay within ourselves, and yeah, if that's what comes up, that's what happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Just great to be back in Smithfield to see our supporters. They've been fantastic throughout the year in the National Football League. Whether we're home or away, they've been with us all through all those challenges, and the players are just really excited to see them tonight.
Every dog has its day.